College football is more than a game. It's a blend of deep-rooted history and rich tradition. In the last 40 years, we've seen teams that are nothing short of legendary. Players who've become icons of the sport, and now the game has truly become a national obsession. But imagine if we hit the rewind button back to 1980 and we were able to re-simulate history. Well, that's what I've done. I've crafted 30 of college football's finest players from 1980 and placed them back at their original schools. But the real twist comes with each offseason. I'm going to be adding the top 23 recruits from the actual recruiting class of that year. We're going to track their journey from the start of the recruitment process to national signing day. This is going to fuel the new dynasties of the sport and reshape the college football universe. Then I've also made 24 of the best coaches of all time and reset their age to 22 and restarted their coaching careers at the school where they became legends. And we're going to watch their careers unfold, tally their wins, watch them chase national titles, and we will see who will emerge as the new greatest coach of all time. We're also going to follow along with each season, dissect player stats, follow team records, catch the biggest games live, and witness the crowning of new national championships. Now, I'm also going to be keeping track of the best player, coach, and team of each decade. So I'm going to need you guys to help in the comment section below telling me who should win each award. And at the end of each decade, I will be making a poll on my YouTube so you guys can vote on the winner. So if this sounds like something you would be into, make sure you sub to the channel so that you can help vote on the polls and so you don't miss any of the uploads in this series. In total, we're going to have over 920 custom-made recruits over 42 recruiting classes. This isn't just a simulation, it's the most ambitious NCAA football series ever tried on YouTube. It's going to be spanning 7 parts and 28 hours to get through all 42 seasons. And this is going to be part 2 of this series. In part 1, we went over 7 years from 1980 to 1986. Then in this episode, we're going to be going for 7 more from 1987 till 1993. All right, so here we go, guys. This is going to be part 2 of my college football reset. So in part 1, we started in 1980. This is going to be a 6-part series where we go all the way to the 2020s. It's going to be over 40 seasons. Like I said, this is part 2. So part 1, we started in 1980 and we went up through the 86 season. So 7 seasons in total. Here we're starting in 1987 going till about 1993. So there's going to be another 7 seasons in this video. Now, I'm going to throw up a graphic right now to show you who won the national championships, who won the Heismans, who kind of were the best teams record-wise, so you guys can take a quick look. But basically, the best 2 teams so far, I'd say there's 4 teams that have really stood out. Texas A&M has won 2 national championships. Ohio State has made 2 and maybe had around the best record out of the whole sim. Notre Dame has made 4 national championships and really are dominating in recruiting. Then Penn State won the last national championship in 1986 and has made another one as well. So I'd say those 4 teams are kind of the best teams of the sim so far. Now, we're also going to be doing players of the decade, guys. So if you watched part 1, I asked you to leave comments down below. We have 3 more seasons in the 1980s before we vote on who's going to be the player of the decade. I'll make a poll up on my YouTube channel. Right now, I'm looking at Kenny Minchie, who is the Notre Dame QB, Marcel Reed, who is the A&M QB, Herschel Walker, who had a crazy career at UCF, and then Greg Lloyd. He's still playing. He's been a 3-time All-American all 3 of his years at linebacker for Oklahoma. So that is kind of where we're sitting on that. We're also going to do coach and team of the decade. I'll be making polls for that. So let me know who you guys, if you watched episode 1, what you guys are thinking for that. Now, if you are new to these sims and you haven't watched part 1, you're just going to watch from here, that is totally fine. Basically how it works, I make real life recruiting classes for each one of these years. In NCAA, you can make max 23 recruits in a custom class. So I make 23 recruits every single year, real life players like in the 80s, we've had John Elway, Dan Marino, Jerry Rice, Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith, Bo Jackson, Herschel Walker, all those guys in episode 1. Some of them are still playing right now, like Michael Irvin, Troy Aikman, Deion Sanders. They are all still playing college football as we speak. Then one other thing, I also made a I made 25 of the best coaches of all time and put them at their real life schools. So such as Barry Alvarez at Wisconsin, Bobby Bowden, I put at Florida State, but he actually got fired and now he's the defensive coordinator at Louisville. We got Mac Brown, who was at Texas. He got fired. Now he's the head coach at Colorado State. We got Pete Carroll, who got fired at USC. He's at Ohio State as the DC. We got Jim Harbaugh, who actually got fired from Stanford, then got hired by Oregon State and looks like he might get fired again. We got Woody Hayes, who's killing it at Ohio State. Also with this, guys, you guys can see their record up there. We can also go through these coaches. So we're going to be able to follow this as we go. See how many winning seasons they've had. Who's had the longest winning streak? Conference championship games. We can sort by national championships, bowl records, all these things, recruiting class rankings, all of these different things we're going to be able to follow through, and we're going to be able to see after the 40 years who was the best college football coach over that span. We got Lou Holtz, who's killing it at Notre Dame. Don James got fired by Washington, even though he had a really good record and he's at West Virginia. Jimmy Johnson still safe. Chip Kelly on the hot seat at Florida. Robert Nealand at the hot seat at Tennessee. Ed Orgeron I had at LSU and he got fired. He's at the OC at Georgia. Tom Osborne, who's been pretty good at Nebraska, he's safe. Joe Paul just won the national championship. He's safe. Gary Patterson at TCU is safe. Nick Saban got fired at Bama after like 3 years. Now he's the coach at UTEP. Bo Schembechler was the coach at Michigan. He got fired. Howard Schnellenberger, he was the coach at Louisville in real life and he coached at Miami. He's on the hot seat. Kirby Smart, safe. Steve Spurrier was the head coach at South Carolina. He got fired. He's the OC at Texas now. Dabo Sweeney got fired at Clemson. He's at Bowling Green. Barry Switzer, he's 74-17, really good record at Oklahoma. He's safe. And Kyle Whittingham at Utah is safe as well. And you'll see I put an A at the start of each one of their last names, and that was just so I could sort by last name and I'd be able to find all our coaches really quickly and easily. So that's where we are, kind of, guys. This is what this series is going to be like. So now we're in the 1987 seasons. We have our custom recruiting class made for this year already. So we are going to hop in. This is a pretty good recruiting class, not one of the best, but definitely solid. So it's already made and we are just going to go take a look. So at QB, the first one we got is Dan McGuire. He was a first round pick. He's the tallest quarterback ever to play in the NFL at 6'8". I think he was drafted by the Seahawks. He played at San Diego State. Then we got the legend, Brett Favre, who played at Southern Miss, but he's looking at Mississippi State, Bama, Auburn, LSU, A&M. McGuire's looking at A&M, Florida, Georgia, Bama. So we're going to follow along, guys. We're going to watch the recruiting process and see where each one of these guys ends up. And then we can also, obviously, we're going to watch as their careers progress. Then the last one is Todd Marinovich. Now, he was kind of this wild, they made like a 30 for 30 about him. His dad was kind of a crazy man who basically from when he was like 5 years old, trained him his whole life to become a quarterback. He played at USC and he was a first round pick by the Raiders, but he turned out to be a bust. But yeah, it's a really interesting story. So we got him in there as well. Move on to running back, and we got two. First is Eric Bieniemy. He actually played at Colorado and he's the old offensive coordinator for the Chiefs. He's the OC of the Commanders right now. Been in a ton of head coaching interviews in the NFL as well. So Eric Bieniemy, Stanford, Army, Penn State, UCLA, Ohio State. Then the other one is Ricky Waters, who is really good in the NFL. He played at Notre Dame. I kind of hope he goes to Nebraska. That'd be cool. They're just like a super run heavy triple option offense under Tom Osborne. So it'd be cool to see them. It's always fun when they get really good running backs. They did have Eric Dickerson a few years ago. So he's looking at Nebraska, Georgia, Notre Dame, the U, and Georgia Tech. That's it for running backs. Now we have 5 receivers. So good receiver class. We have Rocket Ishmael first, who actually played at Notre Dame. Really good in college, kind of a bust in the NFL, played in the CFL for a while, but really good at college. He's looking at Penn State, Notre Dame, Michigan, Alabama, Georgia. After we look at this recruiting, guys, we're going to get into the start of the season as well, and we're going to look at all the rosters, and I can show you guys where all the top players are at, and we'll take a good look at that. Then next up, we have Jeff Graham, who actually played at Ohio State. He's from the state of Ohio, and Ohio State's not on his list, which is a little surprising. He's looking at Florida, Georgia, ASU, Penn State, Notre Dame. We have Ed McCaffrey, who's actually Christian McCaffrey's dad. He played a long time in the NFL. Really good on Denver. He was on those like Super Bowl. Actually, I don't know if he was on the Super Bowl teams, but he might have been, but he was also just playing with them over the 90s. Big, 6'5", 205, 206 pounds. So big guy. That's his schools who are looking at him. We got Keenan McCardell. Really good NFL receiver, played with the Jags, few other teams. He's looking at, played with the Chargers maybe as well. Looking at Florida, USC, Texas, Georgia, LSU. Then we got Herman Moore, who's a physical freak, played at Virginia. Then for the Detroit Lions was where he like made the biggest mark in the NFL. He's looking at Penn State, Notre Dame, Georgia, Auburn, Michigan, Nebraska. And I think that is it. So really good receiving group, honestly. We have a tight end as well. It's Ben Coates. He played at Livingston, so a small school. Played a long time, I believe, for the Patriots in the NFL. He's looking at Ohio State, Penn State, Florida, A&M, and Miami. Moved down, we got Eric Williams, who played offensive line for a long time in the NFL. Played with those Cowboys teams. He went to a small school, but he's from Philly, PA, so probably going to stay in the Northeast, looking at Penn State, Ohio State, Pitt, Notre Dame, Army. No guards or centers that are custom real-life players. So the rest of the class, obviously, the guys I don't make are just auto-generated players, but we're always going to have like a good group of like interesting guys for people who played during these times. So we got two ends. We got Michael Sinclair right here. He's from Houston, Texas. Played at a small school, Eastern New Mexico, but played in the NFL. He's looking at A&M, OU, Texas, LSU, Nebraska. Then we also have Alfred Williams, who played at Colorado. Big guy, 6'6", 260. He's from Houston, Texas, looking at Alabama, Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan. And we move inside. We actually have a really good D-tackle group. So first one was Russell Maryland, who was like the first overall pick in the NFL draft. He played at Miami, the U. He's from Illinois, though, and he's looking at Illinois, Northern Illinois, Notre Dame, Western Kentucky, and Iowa. We have Leon Lett. He played for the Cowboys. He had that really crazy play. I think it was he fell on the ball after a missed field goal, and he had like the fumble at like the 1 yard line against the Bills, I think also. So Leon Lett, good player in the NFL. He's huge, 6'6", 230. He went to a small school. He's from Georgia. He's looking at Miami, Florida, Ohio State, Bama, Notre Dame. We got Ted Washington, who's absolutely massive. He played at Louisville. He's a big nose tackle, played in the NFL forever. Florida, Miami, Florida State. He's 365 pounds, so absolute beast. Then the last one is Eric Swan, played in the NFL, like I said, for a long time. Like all these guys, Bama, Notre Dame, Tennessee, Florida, A&M. Okay, then we move on to linebackers. We just have one. He's an outside linebacker. It is Mo Lewis. He's like a really good kind of do-it-all linebacker, 6'3", 250. He's looking at Georgia, Bama, Tennessee, Auburn, Florida. No middles. If we move on to corners, we got 4 corners and we have no safety. So these are the last 4 players. We got Todd Light. He played at Notre Dame. He's from Flint, Michigan, looking at Penn State, Nebraska, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Michigan, all kind of up north there. Eric Turner, who played at UCLA, he's from California, looking at SC, UCLA, Cal, Stanford. Looks like he's going to stay at home. We got Merton Hanks. Merton played at Iowa, and he's from Dallas, Texas, and he was one of the corners for the Niners. Really good Super Bowl runs in like the 80s, 90s. So Merton Hanks, A&M, or in the 90s, he was really good for the Niners. A&M, Florida, Nebraska, Auburn, and Alabama. And the last one is Aeneas Williams. Aeneas played at a small school, but he was really good in the NFL. He might have even been a Hall of Famer. He was. Aeneas Williams made the Hall of Fame. He had 55 career interceptions. A lot of his time was with the Cardinals. So another really good kind of stud player. He's looking at Mizzou, LSU, South Carolina, Mississippi State, Vandy. So that is the recruiting class, guys, and we are going to do one for each year. So there's going to be over 40 of these like custom recruiting classes, and we're going to follow where each one of these guys go. Now we're going to get to the regular season, and then we're going to kind of do a bunch of stuff before we start getting into games. So the other thing, guys, I'm controlling Air Force, but that's just a team that I'm just simulating. I don't recruit. I don't do anything. I don't touch. I just let everything play out as it will. So whoever signs anywhere, I have no control over it.
The only thing I'm really doing is following along and, really seeing what's going to happen. Now, one thing, I did a similar reset as well, where I reset from 2001 to 2021. So a 20-year reset. And I did get some comments like, oh, you only focus on the blue bloods. You would never look at the smaller schools, blah, blah, blah. Guys, there's 125 or 26 college football teams in this game. To follow all of them, it's like literally impossible. I'm trying to make each one of these videos 4 hours long. The whole series with all 6 videos is going to be about 24 hours long. So it's going to be similar to if you watch College Game Day or any college football show. They're going to focus on the top schools. They'll focus on the smaller schools a little bit. We only have so much time. We got to focus on who's like going to win national championships, who's, winning Heismans, and where kind of the best players are going. So I know it's hard because people want to see me kind of talk about everybody, but it's just not realistic. So if that's, some people, that's kind of a turnoff for them, but it is what it is. Now, at the start of every season, I kind of like to go through just kind of the preseason stuff. So look at the preseason polls. Who are the projected best teams in the country? So Penn State won the Natty last year. They're only an A though. They have a really good offense, just okay on defense. Urban Meyer has been killing it at Florida the last few years. We're going to go look at all these rosters. They are absolutely stacked right now. Notre Dame has been the best team in the sim. They've only won one Natty, but they are just every single year absolutely loaded. Their recruiting is incredible. A&M, they've been the other best team, really good. Not quite on Notre Dame's level, it looks like defensively, but very good. Nebraska looks pretty decent. UCLA looks okay. Miami looks pretty good. Oklahoma looks pretty good. Michigan looks decent. Syracuse, Alabama A- looks decent. UW, Georgia's only a B+. Auburn, USC A+, so we'll definitely check out them. Ohio State looking like they're taking a bit of a step back this year. LSU A+, we'll definitely have to look at them. So that's kind of what the top 25 is looking like. Oh, who's that A there? Texas. Wow, Texas is ranked 61 right now. We'll take a look at them because they're Texas, but that is not ideal. Okay, I like to look at the Heisman watch. So Curtis Arnold, he's the quarterback at Florida right now. He's been killing it. Michigan running back, Alabama running back, Jim Harbaugh. So Harbaugh started for his first time last year. He led them to Notre Dame to a national title appearance. They did lose, but if he can win, he's still playing for 2 more years. If he could win a Natty and win a Heisman and even 2 Natties and a Heisman, he has a chance to go down as the player of the decade for sure. I can only put 4 up in the pool. So once again, guys, as we're going through, help me decide. We'll kind of go through the coaches at the end of the decade. That should be a little easier because we can just look at all the stats and pick 4. But yeah, okay. So now we're looking at All-American teams. So Arnold, that Florida running back. We got Michael Irvin at the University of Florida. He had 1,558 yards and 15 touchdowns as a sophomore last year. Absolutely killing it. Here's the rest, just kind of going down. Cornelius Bennett, this is one of our guys, I think. Greg Lloyd, preseason All-American. Like, he's one of the guys who I think could definitely win player of the decade. He's one of the, it's going to be hard for defenders to put up the stats, and he's been doing it. So we're definitely going to keep our eye on him. If we go second team, Jim Everett at Georgia. Georgia's kind of the QB factory right now. Thurman Thomas at Baylor had 1,700 yards rushing last year. Wow. Baylor is riding him. And then Florida's other receiver is a preseason All-American. Like, their offense looks like it could be absolutely scary. Randall McDaniel at Notre Dame. Yeah, so that's kind of second team there. Other thing I like to look at every year, I like to look at our championship contender. So this is really good. Just to kind of go, and you'll be able to, we'll kind of see who's projected to be the best teams over the next few years. Basically, Notre Dame is going to be up near the top for a while here. Same with A&M. Ohio State looks like they're maybe down a little bit this year, and then they pick it up. Texas looks like next year they're good, and then other than that, not great. Florida, right there, they're really kind of climbing in those elite level teams. Clemson, UCLA, USC looks decent. Nebraska, Auburn, Miami looks decent. So then the other thing we can do is just go contender grade, and this kind of takes all the years into account. So here's the A pluses. Miami with Jimmy. UCLA has been just doing well. Nebraska, A&M, Notre Dame, Florida, Penn State. Penn State's good this year, and they're kind of looking like they're going to fall off a bit. Okay, now I want to go look at the rosters. And guys, as we get going, usually I watch 2 games a year. So we'll hop into some games, watch some plays live, super sim it, watch some big downs. So usually I'll watch 2 plays each season, or 2 games. So you will get to see some of these really good players in action. So now we just go through some of these rosters. So we got Alabama, who looks decent this year. They have Steve Atwater, a good QB. They did fire our guy, Nick Saban, so he is gone. Auburn looks okay. Here's kind of the top of their roster. Not a lot of our like real life guys. We got Baylor, who has freaking Thurman Thomas, who was just so good last year. Keep going down. Clemson, who's just not been recruiting great. They have Daryl Johnston at running back, the like fullback for the Cowboys. But yeah, not great for them. Florida has been killing it, guys. Absolutely killing it. We're going to kind of go some of the big teams who I think really good. We'll go through their whole roster. So they have this Arnold QB who's a senior, but they really need a quarterback next year. This guy looks like he could turn out to be pretty good eventually, but yeah. We got 2 running backs, Fullwood, who's one of our real life guys. He had 1,000 yards last year. And then they got Dave Maggott in behind him. Really good there. Wide receiver, they got frickin' Michael Irvin, only a junior. They actually had Michael Irvin and Jerry Rice at the same time for 1 season. So they had Rice as a senior, Irvin as a freshman. They're their 2 starting receivers. Good tight end. Offensive line, good at guard. Oh, is that Mark Schlereth? Is it? Yeah, they got Mark Schlereth, who they can play. Center's D. Yeah, good right guard. Good. So they need to play someone else at left tackle, but they got Andre Bruce on the D-line. Couple of 3 kind of good D ends over there. Really good D tackle. Jerome Brown played in the NFL with Reggie White. You know, really good player in college football. Was a top 10 pick. Good outside. Good middle. It looks like they have a lot of seniors. They got this Chris Singleton coming in, going to be a good linebacker for them. They do have, I forgot, they got Deion Sanders as well. Only a sophomore this year, going to be starting for them. They have literally Deion Sanders and Michael Irvin on the same college team. Benny Blades. Like this team, and Jerome Brown. Like this team is very good. Could easily win the national championship this year. Florida State has not been recruiting very well. Georgia's in a weird spot. They have not been recruiting well, except at one spot. They have been they lost Jimmy Testaverde, but they literally get quarterbacks. They've had 5 of our real life quarterbacks, and now they have Jim Everett, a real life guy, and they got Neil O'Donnell, who's going to start from next year. So they've been killing it quarterback and have not been recruiting anything else well. So it looks like they're just kind of falling off. LSU been decent. Bruce Armstrong, good QB this year. Not a ton of our guys, definitely some, but Marion Butts, but they look like they could be okay or pretty good. Miami, they're liking Miami. I don't know. Like they look deep, but they don't have a lot of like star power. So we'll see with them. Michigan looks decent. Yeah, not a ton of star power for them either. Okay, getting down to Notre Dame, and this is where it starts to get wild. Look at their 99 stars, and they have so much depth. So at QB, they got Jim Harbaugh for the next 2 years. They just got Jeff George, who was the first overall pick in the NFL draft. Huge, just rocket arm. So they're set at QBs for the next like 6 years. Running back, they got this Chris Colvin, only a junior. Wide receiver, they got this Eric Alfred. They got Sterling Sharp, who's only a junior. Anthony Miller, who's only a junior. And then they got this guy as a sophomore. Look at their receiving core. Don't have this. Aaron Clark looks decent. 99 left tackle, 94 left guard. Just met at center, but they could play this Jacobs in at center. Randall McDaniel 99 and a 93 right tackle. Left end 92. Okay, so defensive end, they're just okay. Really good. I mean, good on the inside here at defensive tackle. Nice outside linebacker. Unreal in the middle. Bill Romanowski and Shane Conlon in the middle of their defense. Probably start one of them at right outside. They got Rod Woodson as a senior at corner. They got Terry McDaniel, one of our guys. Donnell Wolford, one of our guys. Like, look at their cornerback room. This team, guys. Good safety, not great at strong safety. That team is just so loaded. We have Ohio State, who's been really good throughout the whole sim. They look like they're taking a bit of a step back this year. definitely still can do a ton of damage. Oh, one other thing, guys, Notre Dame, I just moved to the ACC. So for the first video, they were independent, but I think they were kind of having an easier time to make the Natty because they didn't have to play a conference championship game. So now they're going to be in the ACC where they're going to have to. So Ohio State, decent. Oklahoma, really good at linebacker. Greg Lloyd and this Antoine Harvey corner. They actually look really good on defense. Offense, Damon Austin. They are going to need a quarterback for next year. Good running. Yeah, Oklahoma could be dangerous this year. Really good on defense, and like they're going to run their triple option type stuff on offense, and we'll see how it works. Oregon, Chip Kelly's in trouble. If he doesn't have a good year this year, he is going to be gone, and he doesn't look like he really has the pieces. Oregon State, same thing. If Jim Harbaugh doesn't have a good year this year, he's going to be gone. He does have a really good QB. He's got to ride him. Okay, we get down to Penn State, defending national champions, and they lost their quarterback and running back from last year. This guy is good, McNair, but they had Keith Byers and Rich Gannon last year, which is who they rode to their Natty. They look good this year, but not, I don't think, quite national title contender, but maybe. Tennessee with Neyland, actually a good QB this year. They look okay. They could do some damage. We have Texas. They are like 60 in the country. They are better than that. They have two really good receivers, including Tim Brown, who they have not been using well at all, but they have him. But they don't have a freaking QB. It's going to cost you, Texas. You have really two crazy good receivers, no QB, so probably not going to happen. Now, A&M has been the other team that has been the best throughout the sim, along with Notre Dame. They have this Andre Johnson, only a junior. They have Rodney Peete, who's a real-life player, played at USC, won the Heisman when he was there, or I can't remember if he won or got second. They have a good running back. They got a sophomore, which is a real guy, Eric Metcalf, absolutely freak, 97 speed. They got Jeffers and Blades, two of our real-life receivers, and then more guys in behind them. They are loaded this year. Decent tight end, left tackle. Look at all their four offensive linemen here. And these two are sophomores, Mandrich and Williams. Good guard, good center with Wisniewski, and another good center. And a 97 right tackle. Holy, they are loaded. D-line, they're pretty freaking good. Very deep. Outside linebacker, middle's just okay. Other outside linebackers, really good. Broderick Thomas. Corner, decent, not incredible. Safety, just okay. So, but A&M can easily win their third national championship for sure. UCLA looks pretty good. Who's their QB though? Oh, they actually have, yeah, they have a 92 QB. They got Riley Dorsey in behind them. So yeah, no, UCLA could definitely do some damage. USC, they got this Ian Glover guy, Amir Young, Mark Carrier, really good receiver. But USC just they honestly haven't been recruiting very well. And these guys are all seniors. So yeah, once they lose this crop of guys, like I do not think they're going to be very good. Actually, oh, they do have this sophomore QB though. 6'6", 209. He's a auto-generated guy, 76 speeds. Wow. Okay, so he's a sophomore and he's an 88. So he could save them next year. Utah looked okay. UW, he had Mark Ingram Sr. Hasn't been great for them, but he's 99 overall. They got Hasty, Ryan Davis at QB. It looks like they have another QB in behind him. So that is where we are kind of sitting, guys. Those are kind of the top teams in the country. Now we are going to start simming through, and usually I sim to week 9. Then we'll look at recruiting, see where the best players are looking, see who's undefeated, see who looks like they can win a natty, and then we're going to find a regular season game that we can check out and watch live. All right, so here we are in week 9. First, we're going to look at the recruiting, just look at all our guys, see where the big time guys are looking like they are going to sign. There's some big time QBs. It'll be interesting. So Dan McGuire looking like either Stanford or Georgia, maybe Florida. Georgia, it would be huge if Florida could get him. They really need a QB. Obviously, it'd be huge for Stanford as well. Brett Favre, no one's really recruiting him. I kind of hope he goes to Florida. Plays with Urban Meyer, gets to play with Michael Irvin for a year. The way they're starting to recruit, that would be kind of sick. Marinovich looking like Nevada. Okay, Nevada gets a really good QB. Running back, Eric Bieniemy going to Ohio State. Ricky Waters, looking like nobody's really recruiting him, but Nebraska, Georgia, Notre Dame, Miami. Wide receivers, we got some good ones. Rocket Ishmael, either Notre Dame, Michigan, or Alabama. Jeff Graham going to Florida. Florida is just keeping it rocking. Ed McCaffrey, and he's got 3 schools really kind of close there. Keenan McCardell, looking like SC, Florida, or a few other teams as well. And then the last one is Herman Moore. This is a huge one. Penn State, Old Dominion, Michigan, JMU. Those are quite different groups of teams, but wow. Yeah, those 5 receivers, like that's some big time players right there. Go down to tight end. We got Ben Coates looking like Ohio State, A&M, or Penn State most likely. Tackle, we only have 1 offensive lineman. It is Eric Williams looking like West Virginia, Notre Dame. He's got actually a lot of schools still in the running. Defensive ends, we got Williams looking like Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State. Sinclair locked in at A&M. That's a big get for them. D tackle, Maryland going to NIU. Leon Lett looking like Miami, possibly Appalachian State, Alabama, Ohio State. Ted Washington, big time run stuffer in the middle, probably Florida, Miami, or Georgia Tech. And then Eric Swan looking like A&M, Notre Dame, or Bama. Outside linebacker, Mo Lewis looking like Florida, Alabama, Tennessee. Then lastly, with our 4 corners, we got Light looking like Nebraska, Notre Dame, Michigan. Eric Turner, BYU, SC, Stanford, Cal. Merlin Hanks locked in at A&M. A&M is keeping it going. And then Aeneas Williams looking like South Carolina, LSU are the top 2. So that is kind of what we're looking like, guys. A&M and Florida kind of were standing out to me. We'll see who has the best recruiting class right now. It is A&M. It's obviously super early. Northern Illinois is doing really well. Arkansas, Purdue, USC, Florida. Florida's only got 4 guys, but they're good guys, and they're really doing well. Yeah, so A&M is keeping it going though. Okay, now we're gonna look at the top 25, kind of see who's undefeated, who looks like they got a shot to make this natty. So Florida staying undefeated. They have Georgia, and then nothing really super difficult. TCU, okay, with our guy Patterson. West Virginia, Oklahoma, they have some big games still coming up. USC, wow. Okay, this is huge. They got UCLA, USC, 2 top 6 teams coming up. Notre Dame did lose. They lost the first game of the year. Is that Syracuse? They lost to Syracuse. And then, yeah, they've kind of been winning all their other games. They are in the ACC now, and they really don't have very many tough games left. UCLA, West Virginia's 5-0, Oklahoma, Penn State, Ohio State. Still plays Penn State later. Georgia A&M does have 2 losses, so they might be out of it. Nebraska has 2 losses, just lost to Michigan. Okay, none of these games really stand out to me, so I think we'll probably wait and watch one of the conference championship games, and then I always watch the national championship game as well. Here's where the Heisman's looking. This Curtis Arnold, he's killing it right now. Looks like he might win the Heisman this year, and he won it last year. So he could go back to back. If he goes back-to-back Heismans and Florida wins the Natty, he has to be in one of the players of the 80 list for sure. We got Ian Glover at USC, Thurman Thomas at Baylor, who already he's averaging 209 rushing yards a game. What? Okay, that's insane. We will have to, he could rush for what, 3,000 yards possibly, maybe? We'll have to see on that. Jesse Thompson and JJ Rogers. Yeah, okay, that's kind of just like blowing my mind. So Arnold leading the country. Troy Aikman at Iowa. Forgot to look at him, but we'll look at him at the end of the year. Rushing, Thurman Thomas leading the country in rushing. Alonzo Highsmith on there. Michael Irvin leading the country in receiving yards. Mark Ingram Sr. right in behind him. Tackle leaders, that's where we're looking. Sack leaders, that is what we're looking like. INT leaders, that is what we are working with. Okay, look at some team stats here. So total offense, Florida by far. They have played 8 games. USC's played 7, but I guess that's a bit there. 1,000 yards. Holy, this team, they're scoring 50 a game. Urban Meyer is cooking with gas at Florida. One thing I forgot to mention, guys, if you didn't watch episode 1 as well, I made each of the coaches, I should have said this. I made each of the coaches 22 years old, and I gave them all like a level 15. They're all at 0 wins, 0 Heisman, 0 everything at the start. So we'll be able to track them all the way through. So, no one had the advantage. They had the advantage of being at a certain school, but like that was just the school that they're associated with. So that's why I put them there. Here's what we're looking for points. Baylor has a really good defense. TCU, that's where we are sitting. Okay, I think I'm just going to advance to conference championship weekend. We will watch one of the conference championship games and then the Natty. All right, so here we are at the end of the season. Let's look at the recruiting. McGuire going to Stanford. That's a big get. Brett locked in at Florida. Florida is putting in work right now. Brett Favre, he's going to start for them next year. They have no other QB. Marinovich going to Nevada. So that's where our 3 QBs are going. Running back, Bieniemy, we knew Ohio State. Ricky Waters looking like Temple. I was really hoping Nebraska. Maybe they'll get back into it. Wide receiver, Rocket, looking like Notre Dame, maybe Michigan. Alabama looks like we knew Graham. So Graham's going to team up with Favre. McCaffrey, okay, there we go. McCardle, Texas, Florida. Oh my God, if he went to Florida. And then Herman Moore, Penn State, JMU, ODU, Michigan. Tight end, Ben Coates, Ohio State, maybe A&M or Penn State. Tackle, Eric Williams going to Penn State. Here's a big 5-star tackle. Not one of our guys, but he's going to Florida. Alfred Williams going to Ohio State. Michael Sinclair going to A&M. The tackles, Maryland, NIU. Leon Lett, either Ohio State, Bama, or the U. Ted Washington going to Florida. Florida. Swan, A&M. A&M and Florida, I think, are the 2 teams that are killing it right now. Mo Lewis going to Florida. No middles. Corner, Light looking like Notre Dame, maybe Michigan or Nebraska. Eric Turner going to Cal. Merton Hanks, A&M. Erneas Williams, LSU. So that is the recruiting, guys. That is where we are sitting. Florida, 6 5-stars already. A&M right there behind them. Illinois, 8 4-stars is huge for them. LSU, Nebraska, Michigan. But like, look at all the 5-stars are either Florida and then Ohio State's. Ohio State's only signed 9 players. So Notre Dame not doing quite as good in the recruiting race right now. Okay, let's look at the top 25 here. Oh, Florida lost there at 9. Oh my goodness. Everybody freaking lost. So USC has 1 loss. Oklahoma, A&M, but they're not even making their conference championship game. Penn State, this is an absolute mess. Florida, who did they lose to? Oh, we still have 1 more game till conference championship. They lost to FSU last week. I thought I went to the very end of the year. Yeah, no, this is conference championship. Yeah, let's just look at the conference championship games then. We got Air Force, LSU, Florida, USC, Stanford, Penn State, Nebraska. Okay, we're going to advance to bowl season. We'll see who made it. I honestly have no freaking idea. So Arnold wins his 2nd Heisman. No national championships. And he only started for 2 years, but he's got to make the list at least. Might not make the top 4 though. Thurman Thomas gets 2nd. Like, this guy's Florida, if he gets 2 touchdowns in the bowl game, he's going to have over 60 touchdowns this year. Okay, let's see. Oh my God, I seen it. It's A&M Penn State. 3-loss Penn State versus 2-loss A&M. A&M has a chance here to win their 3rd national championship. So who'd they get in over? Yeah, we didn't even have a 1-loss team other than Miami. So like, why would Miami not? They lost like 6 weeks ago. USC just lost to Stanford. They had 1 loss. They probably would have been in. Penn State is okay this year, but not incredible. Either Penn State's going to win their 2nd or A&M's about to win their 3rd natty. Here we go. A&M up 7. We're going to sim through the first quarter. A&M up 14. This is what I was a little worried about with Penn State. I didn't know if they had the firepower. Okay, they're kind of putting in work here. Here's a 3rd and 10 for Penn State. Sorry, yeah, I wasn't sure if Penn State had the firepower. If they can score here, I mean, 14-7, obviously you're right in it. Drops back. Oh, that's open. DN. Oh, he didn't drag his foot. The Shannon Clark for Penn State is 2 of 10 to start. That guy was wide open. He overthrew him. Probably could have got his foot in, but he led that ball too much. See what A&M's got. Jeffers Smith, 3rd and 2, 15-yard. Oh man, they're just running the ball in Penn State. 4th and 9. Okay, they missed their field goal. Penn State, you got a shot. You got to convert on some of these. First and 10, first and 10, first and 10, second and 10, third and 5 here for Penn State. Can they convert here? They can make it 14-10. That is definitely doable. They're in pistol. They got trips to the bottom. Drops back. Gonna tuck it and run right into the D tackle. Oh my God, that was the nastiest stiff arm I've ever seen. But A&M rallies to the ball. They're gonna hold them to 3 here. If they make it, field goal good. 14-6. Interception. Okay, Penn State. Second and goal, third and goal from the 6. This is the 3rd time they've been down inside the 10-yard line. They've got 2 field goals so far. There's 30 seconds left in the half. Drops back, 3rd and goal. Fires underneath. He's going to be short. A&M rallies to the football. They have been bend, but have not broke. It is going to be 14-9 most likely going into the half. They went for it and they got stopped. Stopped at the 1-yard line, and it is half. Wow. A&M. Yeah, no, this feels like A&M's ball game. Penn State just feels like if they would have converted a few times in the red zone, but Jeffers, Smith, 3rd and 8, and they get a touchdown. 28-6. I'm just gonna sim through this one unless something weird happens. Okay, 28-14, 35-14, 35-20 to 42-20. Yeah, Penn State, what did get their offense going a little bit, but that is it. A&M's 3rd national title. No one else even has 2? Yeah, no one else even has 2. Wow. Okay, so final top 25. A&M, Ohio State, Oklahoma. Where'd Notre Dame finish? Oh, 4 losses for Notre Dame. Damn. We knew Heisman. Arnold wins it. He had 61 touchdowns this year. So here's the leaders. So Arnold had over 1,000 more yards. Troy Aikman had a good year. Thurman, 2,500. Alonzo Highsmith was on there. Michael Irvin, 2nd year in a row. I think he led the country in receiving yards. There's the sack leaders, INTs. Rod Woodson had 7 picks this year for Notre Dame. We'll look at team stats. Total offense, 7,400 yards. USC had a really good year too. 45 points per game for Florida, Penn State, Miami. Defense, total defense, Memphis, Charlotte, Georgia, UCF, Oklahoma. Okay, now what I like to do at the end here is go just kind of look at the top players in the country and just look at their individual stats. So for QBs, Jim Everett, 3,100 yards, pretty good year. Those were his stats. Oh, Harbaugh, 1,500 yards. Were they just not, did he get injured? Or they just were deciding that he must have got injured a little bit. Glover had a really good year last year at USC. Curtis Arnold. So here's his final stats. He only really played 2 years. Those are all back-to-back Heismans, though. Okay, go to running back. Fullwood at Florida. 1,200 yards. He's a senior. He's gone. Alonzo Highsmith, 1,800 yards this year. Ole Miss. Wideouts. Sterling, only 830 yards. Not a great year. They had 2 of the best receivers in the country. Hayward Jeffers, final year, had a good year. Mark Ingram in his final year had a good year. Anthony Miller at Notre Dame had an okay year. Tim Brown, only a junior, a little bit better this year with 800 yards. Brian Blades. Mark Carrier, we know, had a good year. Michael Irvin, only a junior, back-to-back 1,500-yard seasons. Andre Rison, South Carolina, 890 this year as a sophomore. Okay, National Signing Day. See where all these dudes end up. We know most of them, but there's still definitely going to be some. So we knew all the QBs. Running backs, did we know Ricky? Ricky ends up at Temple. I really wanted him to go to Nebraska. Wideouts. Ismail ends up at Notre Dame. That's a big pickup. That's his real life school. Ed McCaffrey ends up at Bama. That's a big pickup. Keenan McCardell at Texas. And Herman Moore ends up at Penn State. That's huge for Penn State. Tight end Ben Coates. He was looking at, okay, he ends up at A&M. Big get there. I think Williams is going to Penn State. Yeah. The end, we knew Alfred and we knew Sinclair already. Maryland, NIU. Leon Lett ends up at the U. Washington. And then Swan ends up at A&M. Outside, we just got Mo Lewis. We knew Florida. And then we just have our corners. So Light, Turner, Merton Hanks, and we knew all those. So that's where that is all sitting. Now we're going to look at top classes. So Florida, 8 5 stars. I think that's the most 5 stars we have seen yet. Favre, Graham. Like, yeah, a really good class. A&M second, Nebraska, Arkansas, LSU, Stanford. Where did Ohio State? They had a good start. Notre Dame. So yeah, that is what the final recruiting is looking like. Florida, incredible class, headlined by Brett Favre, the best QB, in the class by far. Okay, we're just going to sit into the next season, make the next recruiting class, and we'll get into the 1988 season. All right, so here we are in the 88 season. We are going to skip to recruiting here. This is a good class, decent class. Definitely doesn't have as much star power as some of the previous. I don't even know if there's any like Hall of Famers, but it is pretty deep and it's got some like good quarterbacks for people to go after. So it'll be interesting. So this is the 88 class. Let's go through it. So first we got Jeff Blake, quarterback, East Carolina. Good quarterback, kind of an all-around player, and he's from Florida. He's looking at Florida, Miami, Bama, Florida State are kind of his tops. We got Brad Johnson, who actually made a Super Bowl playing with Tampa Bay. He's from Georgia, but he actually played at Florida State. Now he's looking at Georgia, Bama, Florida, Auburn, Notre Dame. We got Tommy Maddox, who played for the Steelers. He played at UCLA, even though he's from Louisiana. He's looking at LSU, A&M, Ole Miss, Florida. We got David Klinger, I think, and he was like a top 10 pick. He played at Houston. He's from Houston, Texas. And he's looking at Bama, Nebraska, Ohio State, Penn State. And then the last one is Ty Detmer, who played at BYU. He's from the state of Texas, so he's looking at A&M, LSU, Arkansas, TCU, looking like he probably will stay in Texas. Move on to running backs, not the biggest names. We got Michael Bates. He played at the University of Arizona. He's from Cali. He's looking at Stanford, Nebraska, UCLA, Ohio State. We got Tommy Vardell, played at Stanford. Big kind of power back. He's looking at UCLA, USC, Cal, Stanford, Washington. So both are kind of staying in the pack. We go wide receiver. We got Jimmy Smith, who is a very good receiver, playing for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Really good in the NFL. He played at Jackson State, so small school. He's looking at Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, Notre Dame. He's from Detroit. We got Desmond Howard, who won the Heisman while playing at Michigan. And as a wide receiver, obviously that's pretty rare. Right now, he's looking at Florida, Notre Dame, and USC. Then we got Carl Pickens, who played at Tennessee. He's from North Carolina. He's looking at Georgia, Florida, A&M, Ohio State. Go to tight ends. We don't got any. We only got one offensive lineman as well, Bob Whitfield. He's from Carson, California. He played at Stanford. He's looking at SC, Washington, OU, and Nebraska. Go down to defensive ends. We got two. First, Steve Entman. He was like a top 3 pick in the NFL draft out of University of Washington. He's from the state of Washington. He's really looking like he'll stay in the Northwest, maybe go down to Cali to SC or Stanford. Then we got Robert Porcher from South Carolina State. He's going to look at Penn State, Notre Dame, Georgia, Florida. We got 2 defensive tackles. We got Sean Gilbert, who played at Pitt. He's looking at Penn State, Ohio State, Syracuse, Maryland, Michigan. We got Chester McLaughlin. He played at Clemson. He's from North Carolina. He's looking at Georgia, Tennessee, Florida, Alabama, Auburn. We have no outsides. We got one middle, Levon Kirkland, who's absolutely massive. He's 6'2", 270, 269. He was a killer for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the middle of their defense in the 90s. He played at Clemson. He's from South Carolina. He's looking at Georgia, Ohio State, Florida, Penn State, Miami. Then if we go corners, we got Buckley, who played at Florida State. He's from Mississippi. He's looking at Florida, Wisconsin, Penn State, Mississippi State, OU. We got Ashley Ambrose, played Mississippi Valley State. He's from New Orleans. He's looking at Rice, LSU, Florida, Miami, Troy, and Kansas. Then lastly, we have Troy Vincent, who played at Wisconsin. He's from New Jersey. He's looking at Ohio State, Oklahoma, Penn State, Georgia, Florida, and the U. Then we have a couple of safeties. First, we have Daryl Williams, who played at Miami. He's looking at, he played for the U. He's looking at Florida, the U, UCF. So all Florida schools for him. And the last one is Darren Woodson, who was really good in the NFL. He played at Arizona State. He's from Phoenix. He played at Arizona State. He's looking at Alabama, Ohio State, Florida, LSU, and Michigan. So that is the class. Not quite as much star power as some of our previous ones, like I said, but hey, it's going to be adding more talent. We'll see where everybody ends up. So that is kind of where we are sitting, guys. So now I'm just going to sim to week 9, and then we'll kind of see where everything's sitting. All right, so here we are in week 9. Let's see. let's take a look at recruiting. So Jeff Blake is going to the U. That's a huge get for them, a big 5-star QB. Brad Johnson looking like he's going to go to Notre Dame or Bama, maybe. That's huge. They'll go from Harbaugh to Jeff George to Brad Johnson. Tommy Maddox looking like A&M. Most likely there's still other schools, but if they get Tommy Maddox, that's perfect. They're them, or they're going to get Kilt Klinger, it looks like. So they're in a great spot. Ty Detmer is going to Arkansas, so that's a nice pickup for them. Running back, Bates is going to UCLA. Vardell is going to UCLA. So UCLA gets the 2 top 5-star running backs. Jimmy Smith looking like Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, maybe Notre Dame. Desmond Howard looking like Notre Dame, Ohio State, or Florida. Kind of the 3 biggest schools going right now. Carl Pickens looking like Georgia or Penn State. So there we go there. No tight ends, right? No, we got a tackle though. It is Whitfield is locked in at Washington, so that's a nice pickup for them. Number 1 tackle in the class. They might get Entman as well. It's either them, Oregon State, maybe Oregon for the number 1 D end in the class. Porsche is looking like Notre Dame, Florida, or Georgia. The tackle with Gilbert, it's looking like Ohio State or Syracuse. And Chester McGloxton is going to Bama. Middle linebacker, Levon Kirkland looking like Penn State, Ohio State, Miami, or Florida. Corner, we got Buckley looking like Florida, maybe Penn State, but probably Florida. Ambrose looking like Louisiana Tech, Louisiana Monroe, or the U. And Troy Vincent looking like Penn State, Georgia, maybe BC or Marshall. Then at free safety, we got Darrell Williams looking like Florida, Miami, maybe ULM or FAU or UCF. And then Darren Woodson looking like he's barely getting recruited, so we'll have to see once people start going after him. It's weird when they do that. Okay, so that's where we're sitting with recruiting. We go to top 25. We got Ohio State undefeated 7-0. UCLA is doing work. They have the other Chip Kelly. I kind of forgot to like get rid of him because he's still coaching. So I believe he's still at UCLA. So he's kind of doing really well there. Florida staying undefeated, just barely beat Mississippi State. Notre Dame still undefeated, and they only play Navy. Really, that's really tough. A&M does have a loss. They lost to LSU. He just beat Bama 45-0. My gosh. UCF and TCU both undefeated. Georgia, Miami, Army undefeated. Okay, so we have a lot of undefeated. So there's passing leaders. Harbaugh leading the country in passing. Brett Favre is a freshman's 3rd. Wow. Robertson at Nebraska leading the country. Receiving, Sharp 2nd. Tackles, Strickland, Spencer. Sack leaders, that's where we're at. INT leaders, team stats here. Total offense, Navy 1st in the country. Notre Dame, Ohio State, Miami, Ohio, or Georgia. Points per game, Notre Dame. Where's Florida? Florida's a little bit further down, even though Favre's having such a good year. This point last year, they were at like 50 a game. Points allowed, UCF is killing it. TCU, Texas, Florida. Okay, so I'm going to sim till conference championship weekend. Okay, here we are at the end of the season. We got conference championship weekend. Let's look at the top 25. So Ohio State still 12-0, and so is Notre Dame. So if they win their matchup, they will be in the national championship. If one of them loses, Army or Navy, or Army or Air Force definitely has a chance of sneaking in, or hopefully Florida. I mean, Ohio State, Notre Dame, that's a sick matchup. I just hope if one of them loses, it's not Army that gets in. But there we go. Okay, so we also haven't looked at recruiting since we simmed the 2nd time here. So this is going to be it until National Signing Day. So we'll just look real quick here. We knew Blake already. Brad is looking like Notre Dame or Bama, really close there. Maddox, okay. He was going to go to A&M, but I bet you this. Okay, so Klinger signed, so that made him flip. So they got Klinger instead of Maddox. Ty Detmer, we knew Arkansas. We knew both running backs were going to UCLA. Jimmy Smith, Michigan, Ohio State, maybe Penn State. Desmond Howard going to Florida or Ohio State or Notre Dame. I kind of like the fit at Florida. Him and Favre together, like they were with Green Bay. Carl Pickens looking like he is going to Georgia. We knew the tackle's going to Washington. The D end, Entman's going to Washington. So they get kind of the two best trench players. Porsche is either going to Georgia or Florida. Gilbert, Ohio State. Chester going to Bama. Levon Kirkland going to Florida. Wow, that's a big get for Florida. Corner, Buckley going to Florida. Ambrose going to Louisiana Monroe, LA Tech, Miami. And Vincent, BC, Penn State, Marshall. Daryl Williams looks like Florida or Miami. And then Darren Woodson looks like he's going to go to UCF. So Florida is looking again like they could just gonna, because I think they had, what, 8 5-stars last year? And they look like they could have a crazy class again. Okay, so they'll only have 5 guys signed. But right now, who's number 1? Oklahoma. I mean, that's a great spot for Oklahoma to be in. Texas, Ohio State's doing really well. Georgia, Notre Dame, they've taken a bit of a step back in recruiting, but that's a good class. Same, A&M's decent, but not really standout right now. Okay, now I want to just, we're not going to super sim, but I'm just going to sim these games while we're sitting here so we can just see the score. We're just going to sim this game. Ohio State wins. They book their ticket. Now, if Notre Dame beats Miami, they will be in. They kill Miami. So Notre Dame is about to make their 5th national championship in 9 seasons. Wow. They got to win one, you know? Okay, we'll see the Heisman here in a sec. Okay, well, we're going to advance to bowl season. Ohio State, Notre Dame. Have they played before? No, Ohio State made the first national championship in 1980, and then they made the 3rd in 82, which they won. They haven't been back since. Notre Dame. So Jim Harbaugh wins the Heisman with 59 touchdowns. So Harbaugh, if he wins this game, he's going to have a Heisman. Favre finishes 5th. He's going to have a Heisman. We'll have to look at his final stats. He's made at least one other national championship as the starting quarterback. Oh no, he's made it. Yeah, because A&M beat Notre Dame last year, right? No. Yes, it was Penn State. I had that wrong. Okay. So yeah, in his first year as a starter, Harbaugh lost to Penn State. Then he didn't make it. Now he makes it. Yeah, so let's just get into this. This is going to be wild. 2 of the best teams of the sim so far, both undefeated. Let's just see what happens. 97 overall versus 95. Looks very similar on offense, but Ohio State definitely is the better defense. Harbaugh trying to wrap up an amazing career as their starter. He's able to get this national championship. Wow. Notre Dame, easily the best offense in the country. Points, yards, passing. 2nd best defense statistically. So they got to be the favorite right now. Ohio State maybe played a tougher schedule. I'm not really sure, but there's each team's top 3. Not really much injuries. Each has a guard out. So we got full rosters. Looks like we're in the Rose Bowl here. This is a big time matchup. Notre Dame, though, needs to win this. If they lose this, they're going to be 1-5, right? No, they're 1-3 right now. So this would put them at 1-4, right? They've made 5. Yeah, this would be 1-4 in national championships if they can't win this one. Okay, Ohio State, 7-0. That's where we're at. Getting into the second quarter here, 4th and 3. They're going to punt that off. Harbaugh throwaway, 3rd and 6. So first play we're going to watch. We got a spread look here. Harbaugh and shotgun. They got Shannon Sharp at wide receiver. He's their big time weapon. He's going to go deep. Wide open. I think that's their tight end, Aaron Clark. Huge reception there. Harbaugh looks like he's starting to cook with gas a little bit here. Notre Dame hurry into the line. The Golden Domers versus the Buckeyes. Harbaugh handing it off. That guy looks slow as hell. Their running back, Chris Colvin. Notre Dame hurrying, though. They're not going to let Ohio State breathe here on defense. They want to put pressure on you with their elite offense, high flying. Harbaugh going to do a little counter here. Their running back looks slow, but he's got some power. He pushes that pile forward, gets it to 3rd and 3. Okay, here we go. Harbaugh, shotgun, still staying in this kind of spread look. Colvin is very tired. Harbaugh's going to throw it, sling it. Oh, that could have been picked by Ohio State. Notre Dame is going to have to settle for 3 here. And yeah, it's going to be 7-3 Ohio State. -2. We got 3rd and 10 here for Ohio State. We got some haze on the field. I don't know what's going on. Don't love that. But once again, this is an old-ass game. I don't know what's going on there, but okay. Notre Dame brings a blitz. They try a screen pass, and Notre Dame was all over that, sniffed that out, and nothing going there. Ohio State's going to punt. Harbaugh to Sharp for 23, -3, 3rd and 9 here. Let's see what Harbaugh can do. Spread look here again on 3rd and 9. Down 7-3, close game. They're going to run draw. Going to try a long field goal. I would get a little more aggressive. They're averaging 3.4 yards a carry. Oh my God, they punt from there. And it was a touchback. Emmitt Smith -3, 3rd and 5, 1st and 10. Oh, fumble recovered by Wolford, Notre Dame, and then fumble recovered by Ohio State. So they just fumble it back and forth. Now we got a 3rd and 13 for Ohio State. 7-3, 2 minutes left. It is a close, just kind of defensive battle here. Two of the best offense in the country kind of getting stymied. He's going deep. That is underthrown, picked off by Notre Dame. That was not a good throw. Kind of an arm punt on 3rd and long though, so really not that bad. Just did not look great. Yeah, so interception. Harbaugh needs to do something here. -3. Harbaugh, 3rd and 6. We'll let it rock. Throwaway. 1st and 10. Rocket Ishmael. 1st and 10. Sharp for 25. 2nd and 10. 1st and 10. Sharp for 26. Okay, we're gonna watch from here. So there's 30 seconds left. Harbaugh needs to punch us in. He's the reigning Heisman winner. 3-year starter at Notre Dame, needs to get it done. He's going to the end zone right in front of it. That's the tight end. 1st and goal down at the 1. Did they call a timeout? It looks like it. No, they're hurrying to the line. They got to move the sticks. They have 1 timeout. Definitely got to realize that if you need it. Okay, Harbaugh, he's going to drop back to pass. Fires it. Touchdown. Anthony Miller, one of their superstar wide receivers along with Sharp. Harbaugh to Miller, new passing yard or touchdowns in a season, passes Ncaa. He wins this. I think he's got to supersede Ncaa on our list because they both won a Heisman, both won a national championship, and I think Harbaugh is going to have better stats. But obviously, he's got to win this game. Okay, 5 seconds left. Obviously, we'll just sim through. Okay, we got halftime. Who gets ball? Ohio State gets ball. Throwaway. 3rd and 4. They get it. 2nd and 10. 3rd and 7 for Ohio State. They're 6 of 11 on 3rd down. Huge play rate here for the Buckeyes. Okay, drops back. Ohio State QB standing tall in the pocket. Finds that guy underneath. Oh, that was a great tackle. The safety or corner flew up there and made it 4th and inches, and Ohio State is gonna punt. Wow. But then Ohio State recovers a fumble. 1st and goal, 2nd and goal, 3rd and goal from the 13. Notre Dame fumbles in their own territory. They have to get a stop here. Try to make it 10-10. If Ohio State's able to score, that's going to be massive. But, oh, that's a great escape. But he fumbles, and then the offensive lineman picks it up. That was almost just a complete disaster for Ohio State, but they're going to get out of here with a field goal. We got a 10-10 game. This isn't high scoring, but it's very, very competitive. 11-yard completion, 14 yards to Clark, 5 yards, 1st and 10, Rocket Ishmael, 2nd and 3, 1st and 10, 2nd and 9, 3rd and 7. We'll watch from here. 3 of 9 on 3rd down isn't great for Notre Dame. Harbaugh's going to be in shotgun here. Oh, got that guy to jump a little bit. Didn't want to snap it though. Oh, they're going to do a screen. Harbaugh drops it out to Colvin. He does have blocking, and he's going to get down to about the 3-yard line. I don't really love the screen calls. The computer loves to call screens and draws on 3rd down. They do pick it up there. Harbaugh's got just under 250 yards, and we're in the 3rd quarter. Going to play some pistol right here. Harbaugh's dropping back. He's got that tight end on the curl, and he throws it in. An Aaron Clark touchdown, and Notre Dame is going to go up 7 here just before the end of the 3rd quarter. Pressure is on Ohio State to answer back now. 8-yard rush. 7 yards, -4. Okay, they picked that up. 11 yards again, -1. Okay, 3rd and 11, Ohio State. They are in field goal range, so they can cut it down to 4 here. So I don't think they're going to get too aggressive. I could see a screen, draw, something like that. Nope, they're going to drop back and pass. Going to fire it wide open on the corner route. That is a great play call. Gets his man open, and yeah, Ohio State's cooking here. 11 yards out, and they score the next play. We're gonna have a tie game going into the 4th quarter here. 3rd and 9. Okay, that's gonna take us to the 4th quarter. Gonna be a huge 3rd down for Notre Dame right here. Okay, let's check out this 3rd down. Going empty here for Notre Dame. What do you got, Harbaugh? Drops back. Time, Fires that underneath, though. That is going to be short, and he gets freaking destroyed in the flat by the Ohio State defender. 17 all, and this ball is going to be going back to the Ohio State. 2nd and 3. 3rd and 9. Here's right back and forth with big 3rd downs. Is Ohio State going to be able to convert where Notre Dame didn't? Looks like they might be bringing a blitz here for Notre Dame. No, just rushing 4. Fires it down to the flat. Very similar play where they try to throw late into the flat and the guy gets destroyed before the first down marker. Gonna punt it away. Woods returns. Harbaugh sacked. Oh, I should have watched that. It was 3rd and 7. Harbaugh 3rd and 6. Well, Harbaugh throws it away. Punt it. They were, you know, this is getting okay. There's 3rd and 2. So this is a big one for Ohio State. Can they convert this? They're going triple back I form here. I know they're going to pass out of that look. That is unexpected. Finds the guy in the flats for the 1st down. Wow. Triple I form, and they throw it on 3rd and 2. 5-yard rush, incomplete. We got 3rd and 5 now for Ohio State. Notre Dame, if they lose this and go 1-4 in national title games in 9 seasons, they're going screen. Is that DN? Okay, safety comes up. Okay, there we go. Oh, Notre Dame gets a stop, and we got a 17 all game. Ohio State's going to punt this back. 6-yard rush, 4-yard rush, 4-yard rush, incomplete. Oh my gosh, I should have watched it. Okay, 3rd and 4. They pick it up. 2nd and 2. 1st and 10, 2nd and 9, 3rd and 9. 2 minutes left, 3rd and 9. This is a long field goal from here for a college kicker. Drops back, finds a guy underneath. He's able to turn upfield and get the 1st down, and Ohio State is on the precipice of taking this down. 8-yard rush, -3. PAT is good. Ohio State jumps out to a 7-point lead with 1:15 left. 5-yard penalty. Ishmael for 8. 1st and 10. Ishmael for 27. Miller for 25. And here we go. Notre Dame down to 1 timeout. 27 seconds left. Can Harbaugh lead this drive? Snaps it. Fires it. Down to the 2. Down to the 2. They're going to move the sticks. Oh my, what a throw. Nick Parsons. This would be an incredible drive for Harbaugh. He's got 15 seconds. Snap the ball. Oh my God. The clock management. Harbaugh, back corner. Touchdown, but there's a flag. Was that illegal touching? Illegal touching. Nick Parsons stepped out and then caught the ball. Oh man. If they lose this game and that happened, that is incredible. Trips to the top. Harbaugh's going to do a little sprint out. Fires it underneath. Oh my God, Aaron Clark gets in. What an answer drive for Harbaugh. He's trying to go down as the player of the decade. Extra point is good, and we got OT. Harbaugh throwaway. Sharp for 12. 3-yard rush. Okay, they score. Okay. Rocket Ishmael. It's kind of hard in OT because I don't want to watch every play. 1st and 10. Okay, they got 2nd and 1 from the 2-yard line here for Ohio State. Obviously, they need a score here. They got kind of a single back wing look here. Notre Dame's going to call a timeout. Okay, now they're going a big kind of goal line look here. Fullback, tight ends. Going to do a fullback dive. Oh, that's a huge tackle for Notre Dame. They got the fullback to stop his feet. Oh, man. Now Ohio State's just got basically, they can get a 1st down, but it's basically 2 shots to get in the end zone here. I mean, if you fall, you could be tackled just flip 9, flip 9, flip 9. He's in. Good play call. They went fullback first time. Flip 9 there. Their running back gets in. Ohio State is about to tie this up. They do. Extra point is good. Okay, now Ohio State starts this time. 3rd rush sacked. Oh, and then they got it to 3rd and 2. So it was 2nd and 21. They got it down to 3rd and 2. This is a play because you have to kind of kick a field goal probably here if you don't convert it. But he gets into the end zone, and now a pressure's on Harbaugh and Notre Dame. What a game here, guys. Extra point is good. 7-yard rush by Harbaugh. Dropped by Clark. Okay, we're going to watch on 3rd down here. Wow. Trips to the top. Bringing their safety down. Gonna motion. Hand it off. Wow, that's a ballsy play call. Is that Rocket? I think that's Rocket Ishmael, man. They've really used him for a true freshman. He's getting a ton of run right now. Harbaugh trying to come back again here with a touchdown drive. Drops it in underneath. Guy pushes forward. That's Nick Parsons, who's the guy who stepped out of the end zone. That didn't really matter because they scored the next play. 2nd and 2. Clark for a touchdown. Extra point good. 38 all. Incomplete. Rocket Ishmael for 17. -3. 3rd and goal from the 11. Oh, man. Notre Dame's in a tough one here. They kind of have to kick a field goal if they don't score here. Harbaugh drops back. Slides. Oh, he's lucky he didn't get sacked there. That would have made it a much more difficult field goal. Harbaugh's got 5 passing touchdowns today. Field goal good. Somehow that's a win. I thought Ohio State got the ball one more time to answer. No, I don't know. I thought Ohio State got the ball back one more time, but I guess not. I guess my math was off. I guess Notre Dame wins. Notre Dame never got a stop. I don't know. We got to remember too, guys. I've noticed this sometimes when it goes to overtime, it can get super weird. But there it is. Notre Dame wins it. I don't know. Harbaugh played incredible. Almost 400 yards passing and 69 yards rushing and 5 touchdowns. What a game. Either way, I don't know if it was supposed to end there or if Ohio State should have got one more chance. But either way, what a matchup. What a game. So Harbaugh, we'll have to look at his full career stats, but that's got to put him on the short list for the player of the decade. 61 yards rushing in this game. Sharp had a huge day in his final game. Rocket Ishmael, 84 yards and a touchdown as a true freshman. Anthony Miller's, they're losing their top 2 receivers, so Ishmael's going to step in and be a big time weapon for them. Here's kind of their defensive stats. Then we look at Ohio State. Spielman had 16 tackles, 2 TFLs, and a sack. Huge game for him. Receiving, they kind of just did it different. Rodgers played really well for them. They didn't work quite as explosive. They were just kind of getting it done when they needed to, or it felt like Notre Dame was making more big plays, but there it is. So Notre Dame's made 5. They've won 2 now. Them and Penn State each have 2 wins. We only have one more game in the decade as well, guys. So let me know down below. Help me out who we think should be the players of the decade. I think what I'm going to go with right now is either Jim Harbaugh, Marcel Reese, the QB at A&M, who won 2 national championships, Herschel Walker, but maybe switch him out for Thurman Thomas, Greg Lloyd, who won 3-time All-American at linebacker, or Curtis Arnold, the Florida QB. Probably, I'll have to go back and kind of look at all the stats, and I'll come up and I'll put a graphic on this on the screen after next season, and that will kind of I'll kind of show it there, and we'll kind of talk about it a little bit. Also, guys, tell me who you guys think the coach of the decade should be. Probably right now it would be Lou Holtz or Jimbo Fisher at A&M. Plus, we also need the team of the decade. So which team? So like 1984 Texas A&M or this Harbaugh Notre Dame team, which singular team we think is the best? We're going to vote on that as well. Okay, so we just simulated through the rest of the bowls. We're just going to kind of look at the end of the year stats and stuff here. So Notre Dame, obviously number 1, Ohio State 2, Georgia, Army, Air Force. Did Florida lose? Okay, Florida did win their bowl. So Heisman, we know it was Harbaugh already. Thurman gets 2nd, so he must have had a huge... He had back-to-back... Okay, so Thurman is definitely going to replace Herschel Walker on our list. He was definitely the best running back. Crazy stats. 6,800 yards. He might be the all-time leading rusher. Favre had a really good freshman year. 4,200 yards, 37 touchdowns. Okay, now we're just going to go through some of the players here. QBs. Who's this Rivera guy? He's just an auto-generated guy, but... So here's Jim Harbaugh, O'Brien, Walter, Heisman. His stats are actually not like insane, but I think we're going to put him on the list over Ncaa, especially with just how good his year was this year. Oh my God, he also ran for almost 600 yards this year. Yeah, he's going to replace the Ncaa guy as possibly player of the decade. Looks like a Troy. Troy's still back next year, had a couple of really good years. Rodney Peete has not played yet. They're kind of our big guys right now for running back. Chris Colvin had a good year, or good career. Highsmith's been really good, but Thurman is just on a different level. 6,800 yards. How'd Barry do this year? Only 1,000. Daryl Johnston, meh. Butts got hurt. Michael Irvin. I think, I mean, He's only won one Biletnikoff. I don't think he's quite player of the decade, especially never won a natty or anything, but he's definitely been the best receiver statistically of the decade. Okay, here's National Signing Day. Oh, QBs, we knew Blake. Brad ends up at Notre Dame. Maddox, Ole Miss, Klinger, and Detmer. We knew both running backs. Wideouts, Jimmy Smith ends up at Michigan. Desmond Howard goes to Florida. So he's going to be kind of the Percy Harvin role for the Gators with Urban Meyer. Carl Pickens, Georgia. We didn't have any tight ends. We knew the tackle. DM, we know, and Porcher ends up at Florida. Gilbert, Ohio State. Chester, we knew our Kirkland. Corner, Buckley, Ambrose. Troy Vincent ends up at BC. Darrell Williams ends up at Western Kentucky. And Darren Woodson ends up at UCF. So that is the recruiting class. Notre Dame ends up with the #1 recruiting class. Oklahoma, Ohio State. Florida just must not have signed because I just thought they were going to kill it. They only got 16 guys. But yeah, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Georgia, Texas, A&M, Bama. That is where we are at. Yeah, here we are, started the 89 season. So this is going to be the last season of the decade. Guys, remember, drop it in the comments. Who do you think should be the team of the decade, coach, and player? Bayer Alvarez staying at DC. Bowden staying. Appalachian State staying. Pete Carroll still at DC for Ohio State. I wonder if he's an A- prestige. He's got to be getting another job eventually. Harbaugh staying. Woody Hayes definitely staying. Don, Jimmy, Chip gets fired at Oregon. He's now the OC at Washington. Urban staying. Nealand, Orgeron, Tom Osborne, Joe Pa, Gary Patterson, OC. Staven at UTEP. Schembechler gets fired. He's the head coach at Western Michigan now. That's a pretty good coach for them. Oh, no, that's Bo. Okay, sorry. That's Schembechler. I get these two, Schnellenberger and him. Schembechler leaves Ohio State. He's now at Western Michigan as their head coach. Kirby staying at Georgia. Spurrier staying. Dabo staying. Switzer somehow is safe for now. Kyle Whittingham is safe. So that is our coaching, guys. I'm going to make the next recruiting class now. All right, guys. So the recruiting class is done. We are now in the 1989 season. Next recruiting class. Now, this one is definitely a step above the last few, I think. Definitely like really balanced, good players kind of throughout. We got QBs, we got some receivers, tight ends, O-line, D-line. We got it all. So let's get into it. So first at QB, we have 4. We first have Drew Bledsoe, who actually went on to be the first overall pick in the NFL draft. He actually played at Washington State. He's from the state of Washington. He's looking at Washington, USC, Oregon, Boise State. So definitely looking like he's going to stay on the West Coast. Then we got Mark Brunell, who actually played at Washington. He played in the NFL for a long time. Really good NFL quarterback. So is Bledsoe. He's actually from LA, but he's looking like he wants to go out east. So he's looking at Bama, Georgia, A&M, Florida, Notre Dame, LSU, Ohio State. Then we got Rick Muir, who got drafted by the Seahawks in the state of Washington, but he played at Notre Dame, and he was like the 3rd overall pick, I believe. He's looking at Notre Dame, Ohio State, Georgia, Auburn, Michigan. And then last but not least, we have Trent Green. Now, Trent Green played at Indiana. He was a pretty late pick, but he had a really good NFL career. He's looking at Iowa, Iowa State, Nebraska, Wisconsin. He would be really good for Iowa if they got him. They would literally go from Troy Aikman to him, which would be pretty amazing for Iowa football. Okay, moving on to running back. First, we got Garrison Hurst, who is another really high pick. He played at Georgia. He's from the state of Georgia. He's looking at Georgia, Tennessee, OU, LSU, Nebraska, Ole Miss, Notre Dame. Then we got Jerome Bettis from Detroit, Michigan. He played at Notre Dame, obviously NFL legend with the Steelers. He's looking at Florida, LSU, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Florida State, the U. Then we have Robert Smith, who played at Ohio State. He's looking at Ohio State, Notre Dame, Penn State, Michigan. And the last one is Natrone Means. He played at North Carolina. He's from Pennsylvania, though. He's looking at Ohio State, Penn State, Notre Dame, Alabama, Nebraska. Okay, going down to wide receivers. Okay, at wide receiver. So first one is Quadre is Ishmael. This is Rocket Ishmael's younger brother. So I think it'd be kind of cool if he went to Notre Dame, just because we could see the brothers play together. He went to Syracuse in real life, but he's looking at Navy, BC, Notre Dame, Tech, Syracuse, Ohio State. Then the other one is going to be Curtis Conway. He played at USC. He's from LA. He's looking at USC, UCLA, Cal, and Stanford. We actually have 2 tight ends. First is Irv Smith. So I believe this is Irv Smith Jr.'s dad. I mean, makes sense. Irv Smith Jr. played at Alabama, got drafted by the Vikings. Irv Smith Sr. played at Notre Dame. He's looking at Alabama, Georgia, Auburn, Ole Miss. Then we have Frank Wycheck, who played at Maryland. He's from Philly, PA. Big blocking tight end, but good, decent, like pretty good receiver as well. He's looking at Georgia, Texas, Florida, Penn State, Auburn, Ohio State, UCLA. Going down to offensive line, we have some good ones. First, we got Willie Roaf, who played long time in the NFL. He played at Louisiana Tech. He's from Arkansas. He's looking at A&M, Notre Dame, Florida, Georgia, Miami, and Ohio State. Then we got Lincoln Kennedy, who's from Pennsylvania as well. He actually went all the way out to UW to play at Washington, but he's looking at Penn State, Pitt, Ohio State, Syracuse, and Notre Dame. Then move into guard, we got Will Shields, who played for a long time at with the Kansas City Chiefs. He actually went to Nebraska. He's from the state of Kansas. He's looking at Nebraska, Kansas, Kansas State, A&M, LSU, Colorado. Now we have no centers, but we only have one defensive lineman, but it is Michael Strahan, NFL Hall of Famer, one of the best D linemen in the NFL ever. He went to Texas Southern, so a small school, but he's looking at either A&M or Texas, the two biggest schools in the state. Then OU, LSU, Nebraska, maybe TCU. No D tackles. We got one outside linebacker, Chad Brown. He actually played at Colorado. He's from Pasadena, but he had a really just good NFL career. He's looking at UCLA, Cal, Hawaii, Texas A&M, Georgia, Utah, Stanford. We have one middle linebacker. It is Jesse Armstead. He's from Dallas, Texas. He played at the U. He's looking at A&M, LSU, Texas, Arkansas. Moving on to corner, we got one Ray Buchanan. He played at Louisville. He's from Chicago, Illinois. He's looking at Illinois, Notre Dame, Iowa, Wisconsin. Then last but not least, we have strong safety John Lynch. Now he's from Illinois. He actually played at Stanford, NFL Hall of Famer, played on those really good Tampa Bay Bucks defenses like the 0-2 team. He's looking at Alabama, Florida, Georgia, A&M, LSU, Notre Dame. So that is the class. Really solid class. A lot of good players. Quite a few NFL Hall of Famers in that class. So now we are going to advance to the regular season, and then we'll start getting into all the preseason, looking at who we think is going to come out of this season. Okay, start of the season, we're going to start looking at preseason polls. So Notre Dame is only an A. They have a 92 defense, which isn't great. Ohio State kind of A across the board. A&M A+ across the board. Georgia B+, Florida A+, UCLA down to a B+, Ole Miss B+, Penn State A-, Miami, Arkansas A, Texas B+. Okay, so definitely seems like we don't have quite as many elite teams this year. Bama, Washington, Duke, LSU. Yeah, like we really only have a few teams that are considered like elite. Auburn actually looks pretty good. USC A. Okay, so like I said, not the most elite teams out right now. Now for QBs, we got Brett Favre leading the way for the Heisman watch. Only a sophomore this year at Florida, had an incredible freshman year. If he plays all 4 years, he's going to put up some insane stats. Okay, let's go to week 9. Then we'll look at recruiting, and we'll see where everyone's sitting. All right, so let's first look at the recruiting. So QBs, Drew Bledsoe. UW and USC lose Bledsoe to Boise State. Mark Brunell, Notre Dame, Cincinnati, Bama. Rick Muir going to Notre Dame, Purdue, Auburn. And Trent Green going to Nebraska. Does not really fit their system, but he's a good QB. Running back, Garrison Hurst going to LSU. Jerome Bettis, Florida or LSU. Okay, I'm hoping he goes to Florida just because LSU just got Hurst. Robert Smith, Notre Dame, Penn State, Michigan. And then Means looking like he's at Notre Dame. So Notre Dame really doing good with the running backs, honestly. So yeah, that'll be interesting kind of how that plays out. Wide receiver looking like Quadre Ishmael going to either BC or Va Tech. Curtis Conway looking like UCLA, Cal. Tackle Willie Roaf going to Texas A&M. That's a big get for them. Lincoln Kennedy going to either Pitt, Penn State, maybe Notre Dame. Go to tight end, I forgot them. Irv Smith looking like Georgia, Alabama, or Auburn, maybe Rutgers. Frank Wycheck, Georgia, Penn State, Auburn. Guard Will Shields, looking like probably Nebraska. Maybe Kansas State, Kansas, A&M. No center, D tackle. Wow, Strahan, Nebraska. So Nebraska could get Strahan, Trent Green, and Will Shields. That would be a great start for them. Chad Brown looking like UCLA. Like UCLA is just doing way better than USC. A&M recruiting wise. Armstead going to LSU. Corners, Buchanan looking like Notre Dame or Illinois, maybe Iowa or Purdue. And then last strong safety, John Lynch looking like Indiana, Georgia, Bama. So that is where we're sitting with recruiting. Florida looking like they could do really good. Notre Dame, kind of the guys who've been killing it lately, but Georgia hasn't signed a recruit yet. Nebraska right now, the #1 recruiting class in the country, but Florida's got 5 stars right now and a punter who's a 3-star. None of them are our guys really, and they're all wide receivers and athletes. Wow, but Nebraska's really doing well, and if they can finish the job on a few of those guys, that's an incredible recruiting class for them. Okay, let's look at the top 25. So we got UCLA 7-0. They have nobody ranked on their schedule left. Arkansas 7-0. They got Mississippi, that's kind of it. Georgia 7-0. Florida, UCF, Air Force, my team. I don't get why my team's doing so good, but Texas A&M 6-1, so they're still alive, and they don't really play anybody. Notre Dame 6-1, still alive. Like nobody plays anybody here. Florida, UW, BYU, Ohio State, Ball State, Penn State. Quite a few unbeaten still. Okay, so if we look at stats, Jeff George, 2nd in the country in passing at Notre Dame right now. Rushing, receiving. Ed McCaffrey at Bama, killing it. Tackle leaders, sack leaders, INT leaders. Okay, like some team stats. Total offense, Maryland, Colorado, Notre Dame, Utah, Florida. Points per game, Colorado is killing it right now. 7-1 as well. Notre Dame, Maryland, UCLA. That's where we're kind of sitting there. Defensively, Oklahoma is the best defense in the country. Yards wise, Memphis, A&M, Oklahoma, Army. What is Oklahoma? Oklahoma's 3-2. Okay, so that's where we're sitting there. So I kind of was looking through it. There's nothing for... The only game I was maybe thinking like was Florida, Georgia. Like none of these teams really play anybody. I might just sim to the conference championship games again. I'm gonna watch one of those. Ohio State actually plays a pretty brutal schedule down the stretch. Probably Nebraska too. Yeah, Michigan, Ohio State. Okay, yeah, that's what we're gonna do. There's nothing really just jumping out to me right there. Okay, here we are, conference championship weekend. Let's take a look. So we got UCLA versus Ball State is looking like it might be the national championship. Ball State. Okay. They've won 2 overtime games. They did beat Auburn and Michigan State, beating 2 teams with a winning record. So they actually might lose to Miami. I think that's like Miami of Ohio. UCLA undefeated. I mean, gotta respect that there for them. I'm really hoping Ball State loses here, and then we get maybe Florida, someone like that in. Maryland, Miami. Oh, it's A&M Florida right now. Okay, we gotta watch that game. Those were the 2 best teams in the country coming into the year. The winner still has an outside shot. Okay, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna sim this Ball State game. Where is it? Miami of Ohio. Come on, Miami of Ohio. Yes, okay, Miami won. So that's big. So now, these games are going to matter. We got, I think if Florida wins, they're probably in. We're going to watch this game. These are the 2 best teams in the country, in my opinion. On paper, anyway. 2-1 loss, and if Florida wins, they'll probably play UCLA. Florida has not made a national championship. Neither has UCLA. So Florida is honestly really not scoring a ton compared to how well they're doing yards wise. Yeah, and A&M's 10th on offense. They both have very good defenses. They're the 2 best defenses in the country. A&M is really just the best defense in the country. There's the top players for Florida. There's top players for A&M. Injury report. Oh, Favre might not play. Rodney Peete is out for the season. Okay, so that's what kind of hurt A&M. They lost their 99 QB out for the year. So Rodney Peete basically never played for them. He only started 1 year and got a season-ending injury. I doubt A&M, if they won this, would make it, but they would have an outside shot. UCLA could lose as well, and then there'd be two opening spots, so who knows then. They are up 14-0 after the first quarter. A&M has to get going. They got that Klinger, true freshman, starting for them. First and 10, second and 10, third and 2, first and 10, second and 14, third and 24. Okay. So here, try to, if you're A&M, just try to get 10, 15 yards and just get a field goal. Okay, drop back, Klinger. Checks it down. That's only about 3 yards. That is not going to do it. I don't know if you can kick a field goal from there. I don't know how good A&M's kicker is. Field goal, no good. First and 10, second and 9, third and 2. They're really going maggot here. Oh, they fumble. A&M recovers. A&M can get right back into this one. Intercepted, Klinger. Oh my goodness. So A&M now is kind of shitting down their leg. Here we got a third and 10. Favre in at QB. It looks like he did get injured, like I said, so he might have missed a bit of time too. So his stats might not be crazy this year. We got kind of a split back look, drops back, drops it in over the middle at 4th and inches with Desmond Howard. They're going to kick a field goal. Oh my, I'd be going for that. They missed the field goal. Yeah, 52-yarder. You got to go for that on 4th and inches. 18-3. First and goal from the 2-yard line here for A&M. True freshman Klinger in at QB. This is their big 5-star quarterback. They lost Rodney Peete. He's trying to win the SEC for him this year. Here we go. They're really letting this clock wind down. They do not want to give Florida any time here. Klinger, time in the pocket. Really good coverage, though. He's got to throw it away. This Florida secondary is very good with Dion, all their boys. So not easy to fit those balls into these tight windows. Dion's number 29 at the top of our screen right there. They are going goal line here, though. See if A&M, they're going to go toss. Oh my God, and they blew Florida off the ball. Chris Warren scores, and A&M is right back in this one before the half. Florida really trying to exercise some demons here. Favre, Maggot, they're really trying to run the ball. They're a passing team. I don't know why they're running the ball so much. Going empty here. Favre drops back. Checks it into that. Oh, it's going to be 4th. Oh, they give him the first down this time. I thought it's going to be 4th and inches again. Johnny Murray, 8-yard reception. Nice pass by Favre, 22 yards. Okay, we got a 3rd and 5 here for the Gators. Favre going to do a little draw to Maggot. And he falls forward for the first down. I don't love that. They ran a ton, 157 yards. I don't know. They feel like A&M's weak up front, but good in the secondary. I'm not really sure. 2nd and 17. We got 3rd and 12 here. I'd get aggressive here if I'm Florida. I'm trying to go put a 7 on the board here. I mean, obviously going up 2 scores is nice, but you got Brett Favre. Going to drop back, checks it down, but too close to the sideline. Michael Williams is going to go to bounds. This should be a much easier field goal for the Gators, though, and they kick it, and it's good. They're up 10. There it is. Field goal good. It's 23-7. We're going to go through here quick unless something, yeah. So 23-13. Yeah, that's going to be final. Favre gets it done as a sophomore. Dion's last, game, other than the Natty or whatever bowl they make. So this was a huge one. Dion gets it done. They have a lot of talent, and yeah, I'm hoping to see them in the Natty just because they have a lot of our guys. That's what I want to watch the games where we have a lot of the guys, the real life players. So, once Florida goes down a little bit, like we watched a ton of Notre Dame at the start of the sim when they were really good. We've watched a lot of A&M because they've been really good. We're watching a lot of Florida because they're good. So we're going to be watching the best games. Klinger, 240, yeah, just wasn't great. He's a true freshman. Tough spot. They could not get the run game going with Warren at all either. Wilkerson had a nice day. They don't really have the receivers this year either. Cooper had 19 tackles for them. Holy. Florida, Kirkland had 11. Did they have sacks? They had 2 sacks. McCants and Bailey, bunch of TFLs. They were really controlling the run game. Receiving, not any huge days. Maggot and Favre on the ground. Like they ran the ball almost 60 times, so, or 50, yeah, like close to 60 times. So it was just all out run fest. Really didn't throw the ball much with Favre, but they get it done. They have a very good shot at making the Natty, but we will see. What are our other games here? We knew that one. We got to see, maybe UCLA loses to Cal. Let's see. UCLA wins, so they're in. So I think we can kind of just sim through the rest. Let's look. So I think UCLA's in. I would personally put Florida. Maybe Notre Dame, I guess. But Florida just won and they have an extra win. Georgia didn't, right? Because out of the one-loss teams, Ball State's not going to be in. They just lost. Notre Dame didn't make their conference championship game, so they're going to be a game behind. Georgia didn't make theirs. They're a game behind. Yeah, I think it's going to be Florida. Oh, okay. Riley Dorsey, UCLA quarterback, wins the Heisman. Not really any of our guys up top. Who is it? Maryland? They put 11-2 Maryland in over Florida or Georgia or Notre Dame. What? That's literal insanity. Why? I am so confused. I guess they did beat Notre Dame earlier in the year. They won the ACC championship game against Miami, I guess. Okay, they beat Notre Dame head to head, and for some reason they really didn't want to put Florida in. So 88 versus 91. UCLA trying to get it done with the other Chip Kelly. So we actually have two Chip Kellys going right now. He's the real one who's like in his 50s, who's been the head coach at UCLA this whole time. He's actually doing a really good job. Wow, so Maryland actually had a really good offense. Our defense is 107th in the country. UCLA is very balanced. I'm kind of rooting for UCLA. They've done a really good job here. They've done a good job recruiting. They're kind of kicking USC's ass in recruiting. So let's get through this. So we're going to go through the first quarter. We'll probably just go to the fourth quarter, and if it's close, we'll watch some of it. 7-0 Maryland, and they're driving right now. 14-0 Maryland. Okay. UCLA goes down. Terps go down. 17-14. 21-17 UCLA at half. Okay, let's go to the fourth quarter. 28-17. So UCLA really storming back here. Terps are trying to make it interesting. UCLA, 3rd and 9. They get stopped. Okay, we're almost fourth quarter. UCLA. Okay, Maryland's got the ball here. They're really running the ball. 19. Okay, they score. It is 28-23. UCLA's got the ball now. Second. Okay, we got a third down. Watch a play here. Third down, they're up 5 with 6 minutes left. Heisman Trophy winner in at QB. Drops back. Time, checks it down, and that's going to be a big first down for UCLA. Okay, let's keep it going. Dorsey dropped. 3rd and 5. 4th and 5. They're going to kick a field goal. Oh, they went for it. Second goal. 3rd and goal from the 15, though. Field goal, obviously, you go up a full score. So you're, actually, they could be up 8. So you're in a really nice spot if you're UCLA. If you score, they got to score a 2-point to tie it. Oh, man, now you're making this field goal a little harder than it had to be, but let's see. Yeah, field goal is good. Maryland's got 4 minutes. -3, throwaway, 3rd and 13. Okay, so Maryland needs a big conversion on 3rd down here. Probably not 4-down territory. It's not. You're going to punt this away. Hope your defense gets a stop. Drops back, checks it down. That's going to be well short. George Nixon in at quarterback. New school record. Beats Scott Milanovich in 1993. Punts, 5-yard. Oh my God, they got 1st and 25, 2nd, 3rd and 13. Okay, so here we go. 2 minutes for Maryland. 2nd and 10, 3rd and 10. We'll get some 4th and 9. So here's the game right here. Convert, you got a shot. Get stopped. It is game over. Maryland. I mean, not quite game over. They do have 3 timeouts, but it's basically game over. We're letting this clock wind down. Okay, drops back, doing a little tunnel screen over the middle. That is a horrible 4th down call. 4th and 9, you do a freaking tunnel screen. All right. Oh my God. Now they're 3rd and 16. Okay, so Maryland's got the ball back with 1 minute, 25 yards. Second time, 1st and 10, 2nd and 10, 1st and 10. Okay, now they're moving. Okay, we'll watch from here. So they got 30 seconds. They actually are out yardaging UCLA by 100 yards. 20 seconds, though. You better snap this ball. Man, the clock management. Why are you not snapping the ball? Bruh. Okay, well, they're going to have one play. I got in here with 30 seconds left. They let the clock wind down. And then check it down underneath. Okay. UCLA, national champions. That was interesting, but there it is. UCLA versus Maryland, win it all. Not what anyone was expecting coming into the year, but, and that is actually, this is the last season of the 90s, or of the 80s. So this was 1989 season. That puts us through 10 years. So far, here's how I'll put up a graphic here, but every national championship has been OU beats Ohio State in 80. Then Notre Dame beats Penn State. Ohio State beats Utah. A&M beats Notre Dame. A&M beats Notre Dame. Georgia beats Army. Penn State beats Notre Dame. A&M beats Penn State, Notre Dame beats Ohio State, UCLA beats Maryland. So that is going to be the end of the decade, guys. So remember, leave a comment down below who you guys think the best overall team of the decade is. So 1987, Texas A&M, for example. It's going to be one of the national championship teams. Just who do you guys think? Offense, defense, who had the best just mix of star talent, and I'll make a poll for that. We'll go over the coaches. We'll look at who had the best coaching and the players. Now, the 4 players, I have 5 players right now. I'll put up a graphic at some point too, so you guys can kind of see what the stats and awards they won. But I think it's going to be, we need 4 of these 5. So either Jim Harbaugh when he was at Notre Dame, Marcel Reed, A&M QB, Thurman Thomas at Baylor, Greg Lloyd, linebacker at Oklahoma, or Curtis Arnold, he was the QB at Florida. So that is kind of where we are with that. But yeah, leave it in the comments, because the poll won't actually be up until after this video is live. So, you know, this video I'm recording before the first video has even been on YouTube. So we still have some time to kind of figure out who we want to put in the poll. Okay, final top 25. UCLA goes undefeated, 14-0. Notre Dame 12-1. Georgia, Florida lost their conference. Yeah, there we go. Maryland somehow still number 3. I don't know about the Maryland thing, but whatever. So I want to look at the rosters, go look at just some of the individual players. Go down. So at QB, Rodney Peete, just what a career for him. Basically, he threw for 2,000 yards. He was a 5-star quarterback in his whole career. Neil O'Donnell, if he comes back, he's had back-to-back really nice years for Georgia. Jeff George, going to be back next year. I don't know if he got injured. He must have. Yeah, because he was passing 350 a game and only had, so he must have got injured. Favre, I think he got injured. Yeah, he only threw for 1,600 yards. So we had a lot of QB injuries this year that kind of changed things up, and that's probably what kind of opened the door for, you know, Maryland and UCLA this year with some of those big time QB injuries. Daryl Johnston finishes his career almost 1,000 yards every year, had 4,500 yards in his career. Dave Maggott finishes up his career with Florida. Good receiving back, all around back for their offense. Barry Sanders, good career, not incredibly incredible. Emmett got hurt this year too, because he was averaging 95 a game. Blair Thomas at Auburn, nice year. Chris Warren at A&M, 1,500 yards, really nice year. That's where we're kind of at. Whoa, tight end, didn't mean to go down this far, but how's Shannon been? Or Sterling? Yeah, Sterling's done nothing at Kentucky. Andre Rison as a senior, never broke 1,000 yards. Tony Martin, still back next year, pretty good so far. Ricky Prohl, 1,000 yards, kind of where we're at. Rocket Ishmael's had a really good start to his career. Andrews, Crooks, right end. Derek, how'd he finish? 4.5. He had 16.5 sacks, nothing crazy. Keith McCants has been really nice, or had a really nice year this year. Tony Bennett. D tackles. Ray Agnew, his stats. Cortez, 4.5 sacks, nice year. Left outside, Garrison. Middle, Junior, how'd Junior do this year? 29 tackles, sack, INT, nothing crazy. Broderick was really good over his career. Nice year this year. Pop has been good. Singleton, nice year for Florida. Corner, Dion, how many? So he had 3 sacks. He had 12 picks, 1 touchdown, 34 pass deflections over his career at Florida. Wolford had only 5 interceptions, so was not big playmaker. Eric Davis. Carrier had 8 the year prior, only had 1 this year. Kind of where we're at there. Carnell Lake at Utah, his stats. Leroy Butler at Georgia Southern, that's his. Atwater, here's his final stats. Only had 4 interceptions in his career. Yeah, so that's kind of all our guys I wanted to look at there. We're going to go to National Signing Day. Then we're going to look at the coaches again, and we'll kind of look through at who's kind of been the best coaches. It's going to be Woody Hayes, Lou Holtz, or Urban Meyer, I would say, but it's going to be, you know, or I mean, we could include Jimbo Fisher at A&M. Like, he's debatably been the best, but it'll be hard to compare with him because I didn't reset his stats and everything down to 0. So I think we're just going to go off our coaches that we can kind of compare evenly. So yeah, I think it's really, I think it's pretty easily Lou Holtz, but we'll go through it. Okay, recruiting. Bledsoe, Boise, Mark Brunell going to Notre Dame. That's a huge pickup for them. Rick Meyer going to Notre Dame as well. So they get 2 5-star QBs, and then we knew Trent Green, Nebraska. Garrison Hurt. Okay, so they get the 2 number 1 running backs, Hurst and Jerome Bettis. Robert Smith goes to Notre Dame, and then I think Means ends up at Notre Dame as well. So the 4 running backs go to 2 schools. Wide receiver Rocket's little brother is going to BC. Conway going to Stanford. Tight end Irv Smith going to Auburn. Wide check going to Georgia. Willie Rofe going to A&M. Lincoln Kennedy going to Notre Dame. Guards Shields going to A&M. Wow, so A&M, 2 really good offensive linemen. D end Strahan going to Nebraska. We have no D tackles. Chad Brown going to A&M. Armstead going to LSU. Buchanan going to Notre Dame. John Lynch going to Illinois. So that is it, guys. That is our top recruiting classes. Let's take a look at the top here. So Notre Dame, number 1 class, then Nebraska, then Florida, A&M, LSU, UCF, Auburn, Ole Miss, Miami, South Carolina. Notre Dame back at the top. Okay, we are going to advance to the start of the 1990 season. So I'm about a quarter of the way through this, guys. If you watched all this, thank you. I hope you guys are enjoying it. If you have watched this far and you are thinking it's cool, enjoying it, definitely leave a sub, leave a like, sub to the channel so you guys don't miss the next, 3 or 4 episodes coming up as well. Okay, gonna look quickly at our coaches here, see if anyone got fired, anybody hired, and then we'll look at kind of who's the best. So Alvarez staying at DC, Bowden staying at DC, Mack staying at Appalachian State. So Pete Carroll does get another coaching gig. So he's now the head coach at North Carolina State. Jim Harbaugh gets fired for the 2nd time. He's now the OC at Arkansas. Woody Hayes safe, Lou Holtz safe. Don James gets fired at West Virginia. He's now the OC at BYU. Jimmy Johnson safe. Chip Kelly staying at the OC at Washington. Urban Meyer safe. Nealand gets fired. He's the OC at Boston College. Ed Orgeron safe as OC. Tom Osborne safe. Joe Pa safe. Nick Saban staying. Bo Schembechler now is the head coach at North Texas. Schnellenberger safe. Kirby Smart safe. Spurrier, Dabo, Barry Switzer, Whittingham. Okay, so that's all our coaches. Now, I want to look at the recruiting is just so big. Okay, some of the guys were at 20 before. I don't know if they got, oh no, that's game management. Here's recruiting. So 21, 23 for Lou Holtz, 24 for Urban. So Urban's the best recruiter right now. Okay, so we can kind of look who has the best record out of all our guys. Right now, 114 and 21. I think is going to get it done for Woody Hayes. Yeah, 114 and 21 for Woody Hayes is the best record. Most winning seasons, I think there's going to be a few guys with 10. Yeah, there's like 4 guys with 10. So they've had a winning season every year. Woody Hayes won 26 games in a row at one point. 20 for Kirby. I think that's... Okay, let's see who won the most conference championships. Barry Switzer's won 4. That's a ton in 10 years. 4 for Don James, but he got fired a few times. Woody Hayes also has 4. National championships. So 1 for Woody, 2 for Lou, 1 for Joe Pa. Oh, Joe Pa only has 1? Oh, they've made 2. They only won 1. Okay, that's my bad. I thought they won 2. Yes. And then Kirby has 1 and Lou and Barry has 1. Bowl record, I don't really care about. Recruiting class ranks. These, I don't know if I buy these totally, but Barry's at 14. We're only worried about the head coaches here. Lou Holtz is 6.8. That's, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I buy those. Okay, top 25 recruiting classes though. Mac Brown had it 5 times. Lou Holtz has had it every year but 1. Same with Urban. Tom 7, Joe Pa 8, Barry 7. Coach of the years, did anyone win 2? I don't even know. Joe Pa won 2. Okay. Heisman's. Lou had 2. Don James had 2. Urban had 2. Joe Pa had 1 out of our guys. Last one, All-American. So top right now is Kirby with 20. 35 for Urban. 38 for Lou. Woody Hayes 44. Okay. So that's where we're sitting, guys. I think it's pretty clear the top 4 I'm going to put in the poll is going to be Joe Pa at Penn State, Woody Hayes at Ohio State, Lou Holtz at Notre Dame, and Urban Meyer at Florida. I think those have been the 4 best. Urban's the only one not win a national championship, but he's basically really high up there and all the other stuff. I would give it to Lou Holtz, but I'm going to put that as a poll. I'm also going to include another thing. I got to go back and look at the best teams, and I'm going to give you guys some best teams, and I'm going to make a poll out of that, plus the top players. So let me down in the comments, sound off, guys. Wrapping up the 80s, who you guys think best team, best coach, and best players were. Okay, so I'm going to make the next recruiting class, and we're going to start the 90s. All right, we're in the start of the 1990 season. I just made the recruiting class, and this is a good one. We are starting to get into some really good classes over the next few years, so going to be a ton of new talent starting to come into the into college football. So here we got to kind of spread out pretty good at a bunch of different levels too. So starting out at quarterback, first we have Charlie Ward, who actually won the Heisman at Florida State and then actually quit playing college football and played in the NBA. Played at Florida State in real life. Right now he's looking at Florida, Bama, Notre Dame, Georgia, Auburn. Then we have Gus Frerotte, who played at Tulsa. I think he was like a late round pick, played in the NFL for quite a long time though. He's looking at Georgia, Florida, Notre Dame, Bama. Then we got Heath Schuler, who played at Tennessee, and he was actually the 3rd overall pick in the NFL draft. He was a bit of a bust, but he's actually looking at some small schools there, so it'll be interesting to see where he ends up. Then the last one is Trent Dilfer, who played at Fresno State. He's from California, and he actually was like a top 10 pick for the Buccaneers, was a bit of a bust, won a Super Bowl as the quarterback for the Ravens, had a long NFL career. So that is our quarterbacks. Then we got 2 running backs. We got Charlie Garner, who played at Tennessee, was a smaller back, super fast, played at Virginia, or he's looking at Virginia Tech, Notre Dame, Ohio State, or Navy. Then we got the legend, Marshall Faulk. He's from New Orleans, Louisiana. He actually played at San Diego State. Absolute freak show. He's looking at A&M, Florida, Georgia, LSU, Ole Miss. Whoever gets him, that is going to be dope. Then we have 2 receivers. First one is Johnny Morton, who played at USC. He's from Torrance, California. He's looking at SC, UCLA, Cal, and Stanford. And the other one is Isaac Bruce, Hall of Fame NFL wide receiver, was part of the Greatest Show on Turf offense. He played at Memphis. He's from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. NFL Hall of Famer, really good receiver. So, this is going to be a huge pickup for Notre Dame, Florida, Auburn, Bama, or whoever else gets in the mix. We have no tight ends. We do have a couple of tackles. First, we got Todd Stussy, who played at Cal. He's from California. He's looking at USC, UCLA, Cal, and Stanford. Then we got Wayne Gandy, who's from Florida. He played at Auburn. He's looking at Florida, Georgia, A&M, Ohio State, Notre Dame. Then we go down to guard, and we got, some people consider the best guard in the history of the NFL. Larry Allen played on those Dallas Cowboys teams in the 90s. He's from LA. He went to a small school, Sonoma State, but he's looking at SC, UCLA, Florida, Notre Dame, Ohio State. And we have a couple of really good centers. We have Kevin Mawai, who played forever with the Titans. He played at LSU. He's from Savannah, Georgia. He's looking at Florida, Alabama, Notre Dame, Georgia, A&M. Then we got Tom Nalen, who played on those Broncos teams with like John Elway and Terrell Davis and stuff. Really good center. So he's looking at BC, Syracuse, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Maryland. We have actually no defensive ends, but we got 3 D tackles. First one is Dan Wilkinson, who's actually, I believe, the 1st overall pick in the NFL draft in 1994. Big defensive tackle, played at Ohio State. Then we got Sam Adams, who played at Texas A&M. He's from Houston, Texas. He's looking at Florida, Alabama, Notre Dame, SC. And then the last one is Bryant Young right here. I think he might have made the Hall of Fame. He was really good. Played at Notre Dame, Illinois, or he's looking at Notre Dame, Illinois, Ohio State, OU, and he actually played at Notre Dame in real life. Oh, we actually do have an end. Sorry, we do have one end. It is Willie McGinnis, who played at USC's from Long Beach, California. Really good with the Patriots. I believe he played with the Browns before that. He's looking at UCLA, USC, Texas A&M. Looks like either A&M or stay out on the West Coast. Then we just have one linebacker. It's middle linebacker, Jason Gideon, who's from California. He played at Oklahoma State, but he's looking at Alabama, Florida State, USC, A&M, LSU. If we go to corner, we just got one. It is Aaron Glenn. He's from Humble, Texas. He played at A&M. He's looking at Ohio State, Notre Dame, Texas, Georgia, A&M. Then we got two safeties. First, Dwayne Washington. He played at North Carolina State, played in the NFL for a long time. He's looking at Florida, Notre Dame, A&M, Georgia, UCLA. Then the last one is going to be Rodney Harrison, part of those he started with the Chargers and was part of, the early 2000s Super Bowl runs with the Patriots. So he's looking at Florida, Georgia, A&M, Notre Dame, and Alabama. So that is the recruiting class. So yeah, now we're restarting this next decade, guys. So this is 1990. Like I said, now we're going to be keeping track of who do we think is going to be the player of the decade. We got 10 years, obviously, but player of the decade, coach of the decade, and team of the decade. Okay, going to be looking at the preseason polls. So Notre Dame's in first, but they are not looking great this year. A B+ all the way down to a 90 overall. Then we got Florida, A+ across the board. They got Brett Favre at QB. I think they're going to be pretty nasty this year. UCLA, defending national champions. We got Georgia, B+, good on offense, bad on defense. We got A&M. A&M and Florida look like the best team. Colorado looks decent. Miami looks okay. Ohio State looks pretty good. UCF, Maryland, Arkansas, A+, Auburn, A, Penn State, Cal, Utah, Oklahoma, A-, UW, A-, Nebraska, A-, LSU, A-, B+ for Wisconsin, plus for Michigan State. So that's kind of where we're sitting there. Look at the Heisman watch. Chris Warren at A&M, Michael Jackson. We're going to look at our preseason All-Americans, Neil O'Donnell, Warren, Rocket Ishmael, Webb, Sauts, Schlereth, McCants, Singleton, Pop. That's first team. Bates at returner. Here's second team. Yeah, that's kind of second team there. Then I just want to quickly look at championship contenders as well. But yeah, it's got Florida, A&M is kind of the top two teams for the next foreseeable future. Ohio State, they actually like them better next year, but they just don't have the QB next year. Notre Dame's still right in it. It's like kind of these four teams really are the best for a while. Okay, we are going to advance to week 9, and then we'll see where we sit. All right, so here we are in week 9. Let's go through the recruiting first. So QB Charlie Ward looking like he might go to Florida. That would be a huge get. New athletic QB to take over once Favre leaves. Gus Frerotte looking like Penn State, Syracuse, Maryland. Heath Schuller, once again, going to small schools. And then Trent Dilfer looking like UCLA or Arizona. That's a big get for UCLA if they get him. Charlie Garner looking like pretty much locked in at Ohio State. They're going to lose Emmitt Smith and Eric Bieniemy over the next 2 years. So that's a big get. Oh my gosh, the rich get richer. A&M locks down Marshall Faulk, maybe the #1 player in the whole class. If we look at receivers, Johnny Morton looks like he might join up with Trent Dilfer at UCLA. Isaac Bruce going to Bama. That's a big get for Bama. They've not been really recruiting great lately, so that's obviously huge for them. If we go tackles, Stussy, he's looking at BYU, USC out, UNLV, Cal. Gandy locked in at Florida. Nice pickup for them. Guard Larry Allen, Notre Dame, UCLA are his top two. Then Florida, USC could maybe get into the mix. Center Kevin Mawai looking like Notre Dame, maybe Georgia, maybe Bama. Nayland looking like Notre Dame or BC. So Notre Dame is trying to kill it in the trenches right now. Willie McGinnis looking like UCLA, UW, A&M. So UCLA is really starting to put it together here. D tackles, we got Wilkinson looking like Florida or Ohio State. Sam Adams looking like Florida or Tulsa. Bryant Young is looking like Illinois or Nebraska. Middle linebacker Gideon is going to A&M. Cornerback Aaron Glenn looking like A&M, Ohio State, or Nebraska, maybe BYU. Free safety Dwayne Washington going to UCLA. And Rodney Harrison looking like A&M, maybe Georgia, maybe Florida. The UCLA, A&M, Florida, Notre Dame. Those are the teams that were really standing out to me so far. Oklahoma's actually in one. A&M, Bama, Arkansas, LSU, Clemson, Notre Dame, UCLA. But UCLA and Florida, they were kind of guys they haven't locked down yet. But if those guys end up committing, they're going to be in a great spot. Okay, going to the top 25. So Florida at 7-0. They got Georgia and FSU still on the schedule. We got Notre Dame just beat USC 63-37. So Heisman watch so far. Jeff George at Notre Dame leading the way. UCLA, Brett Favre in third. Okay, that's where we're sitting there. Jeff George leading the country in passing. Brett Favre in fifth. There's the rushing leaders. Receiving leaders, Graham and Ishmael for Florida. Yeah, those are the top two receivers at those two schools with QBs killing it. Tackles, sacks, and INTs. Look at some of our team stats here. Total offense, Florida and Notre Dame kind of leading the way. Florida State has a good offense this year. Oh my gosh. Both are at over 50 a game right now. Wow. So they're kind of just putting on a show right now. That's everyone else. Defensively, Washington, UCF, Arkansas State. That's kind of where we're sitting there. Okay, we are going to sim now until conference championship weekend, and then we'll see where we're at. Okay, so we're conference championship weekend. We're going to look at recruiting one more time before we get into National Signing Day. So Charlie Ward's still undecided, but it's basically down to Florida or Georgia. Schuller. And then we got Trent Dilfer locked in at UCLA. That's a huge pickup for UCLA. It wasn't confirmed last time. So Gardner's going to Ohio State. Falk going to A&M. Morton looking like he's still got quite a few schools in it. We knew Isaac Bruce is going to Bama. Tackles, Stussy is going to USC. Gandy going to Florida. Larry Allen going to USC. That's the first really big time player I remember at USC getting in a while. Kevin Mawai looking like either Georgia or Bama, and then Nayland is going to Notre Dame. Willie McGinnis, oh my goodness, looking like Colorado, UCLA, or maybe USC. That'd be huge for Colorado. The tackle, Wilkinson, Ohio State. Adams going to Florida. Bryant Young going to Nebraska. Big pickup for Nebraska. Middle linebacker, Gideon going to A&M. Corner, Aaron Glenn going to A&M. Dwayne Washington, safety, going to UCLA. Rodney Harrison looking like Florida or A&M. The two just kind of best schools going right now. Yeah, let's kind of see where everybody is ranked. Notre Dame, Florida, Washington, all undefeated. And they're all in conference championship games, all playing top 14 teams. Wow. So UW, we're going to sim the UW game first. Yeah, they're just kind of... I feel like they're going to be the one. Oh, they lose. They go to 12-1. So they're kind of out of it. So if Notre Dame beats Miami again, which is a tall order, they'll be in. And Florida has to beat A&M, the other most talented team. These are the two most talented teams in the country. Wow. Okay, I'm going to go sim Miami, Notre Dame first. Florida has to win this. They got to win a natty one of these years with the talent they have had. Notre Dame wins pretty handedly, so they're in. A&M, maybe they'd get in if they beat Florida because Washington lost. Florida wins in overtime. Oh my, can we see the games? What was the stats? Klinger got injured maybe? Favre had 361 and 3 touchdowns. Baker, Klinger, yeah, I don't know if Klinger got injured. They did not really put up any yards. How are they even in this game? Did they get any ints? They got one pick. Chad Brown. No defensive scores. I don't know. Well, whatever. They were in it. So it's going to be Florida Notre Dame in the national championship. That is going to be a cool matchup. Let's advance to bowl season and then we'll kind of look at it. So Jeff George wins the Heisman, the UW QB, and they were one game away from possibly getting into the natty. And then Favre gets third. So Jeff George as a senior, 53 total touchdowns, like 4,600 total yards. Huge year for the big signal caller. for the Irish. They're the number 1 and number 2 quarterback. I think for receiving, yeah, they have the 2 top receivers in the country stat-wise. Pretty sure they're the 2 top offenses. So I think Florida's a little bit better on paper, but who knows? And this is, in 11 seasons, this is going to be Notre Dame's 6th national championship appearance. Right now, they're 2-3. So this could get them to 500. This is Florida's first appearance under Urban Meyer. Absolute heavyweight bout. Florida's definitely the better team on paper, but we'll see once we get in there. So first and second on offense and basically everything, and especially they're not really rushing offenses. And then Florida has a pretty substantially better defense. Ishmael, there's their top 3 team stats. Yeah, very close matchup. Like freaking 6 national title appearances for Notre Dame in 11 years under Lou Holtz, trying to win his 3rd ring. If he does this, he will tie. A&M has 3 right now, right? Yeah, A&M does have 3. So Notre Dame's trying to tie the 3 for the most in the sim, and Texas A&M's only made 3. They won all 3 of their appearances. Notre Dame has now doubled them up in national title appearances, and Florida has been knocking on the door for the last 3 to 4 years. Urban's killing it recruiting, high-flying offense, and they finally made the dance. So we are going to sim through this first quarter here. Notre Dame hops out to a 7-0 lead, 9-0 lead. Florida is driving now, though. Desmond Howard, Jackson Jordan, and they score. So that's a huge touchdown there. Favre to Jordan for a 10-yard score. It is 9-7 Notre Dame. Ishmael for 16. Okay, we got a 3rd and 12 here for Jeff George. Heisman Trophy winner for the Golden Domers, trying to win their 3rd national championship of the sim. Drops back. George checks it down, and the linebacker is right there for the knockout. George only at 50% completion percentage. He does have 100 yards passing and a touchdown, though. Gonna punt that off. Favre, Jackson for 27. Favre intercepted. Okay, and we got 3rd and 8. Notre Dame has a chance to make a huge play on defense, but they gotta capitalize on that. George gonna do a little jet motion out the side. Jeff George fires it in. Hits the post over the middle for 20 to Chris Walker. Jeff George just standing high in the pocket there and delivers a strike. Here he is in pistol here. Gonna hand this. No, play action. Little boot out. Fires it over the middle. Another seam ball to Rocket Ishmael. Incredible catch for Ishmael there. Wow, that was great. Over the middle of the field for about 30 yards. You can see the type of arm Jeff George has here. Whoa, I guess they were trying to run play action and Jeff George forgot. Not really sure what that was, but I mean, you can see what he can do when he's just trying to throw the ball, though. Okay, 3rd and 9. Hits Ishmael for 19. 2nd and 11 here for Notre Dame. Let's see what they can do. Trips to the top. That's Rocket at the bottom of the screen, number 11. No, they're going to run draw, and Florida wipes that out. 9-7 here. A field goal is obviously big, but a touchdown, that is huge. George gonna be solo back there. They're going empty. Rocket's the bottom receiver, number 11. He's their by far number 1 option. They're gonna motion their tight end across the formation. George drops back, has time, slides, gonna drop it into the back corner. What are they calling that flag for? They're calling that pass interference on the guy who jumped up and knocked it down. Oh, they're calling it offensive. Yeah, I was like, what are they calling that pass interference on? Okay, there it is. So field goal, no good. Notre Dame misses the kick. Oh, that is tough. 3rd and 2, they pick it up. 1st and 10, 2nd and 4. 3rd and 8 here for Florida. They have not been great offensively in this one. Favre needs to do something here. 9-7, 2 minutes left. Favre drops back. Time. Nice laser there for Favre. Hits Desmond Howard. He's number 11 for the Gators here. He has 2 really kind of stud wide receivers. All 3 of them are going to be back next year if none of them leave early for the draft. Hits Graham for 28 yards, and they got it down to the 4-yard line. They're going jumbo here. Goal line package on offense. Favre hands it off to his fullback, and he falls into the end zone, and Florida takes the lead right before the half. Big drive there. Ishmael. He just hit Ishmael for 26, 16, and then 27. Smith for 5. What a drive for Notre Dame. They have got to cap it off, though. Ishmael has like 70 yards receiving on this drive on 3 receptions. Motion, gonna hand it off. No, tried a little bit of a read option there with Jeff George, and they're gonna lose 4 on the play. They're gonna run hurry up here for Notre Dame. Okay, George drops back. Time, drops it down in the flats. Oh, that is a great tackle underneath by that Florida secondary. That's gonna be a 4th and goal from the 1. Oh, they actually went for it. I thought they were gonna kick it, and they score. 14 seconds left here for Florida. They're just going to run it out. Okay, we're in half here. Rocket Ishmael, 75-yard touchdown. Notre Dame scores 2 touchdowns in about a 30 seconds of game time there. Wow. And now it's 3rd and 6 here for Florida. Notre Dame completely flipped the script in the last few plays here, and now Florida is down 2 scores here in the 3rd quarter. Okay, Favre drops back. Fires it over the middle. That is going to be a big 1st down. They needed 6. They get 7. 7, 7, 9, 4, 11. 1st and 10. Okay, and they score now. So now they're down 2. Notre Dame football. They're running the ball a bit here. 4th and 3. Gonna punt it to... Okay, both teams are really trying to run the ball. -2. 3rd and 5. 4th and 4. Okay, we're going to punt it to George here. And he's 4th and inches, and he's going to punt it. So we're having just kind of a punt fest here. 2nd and 2, 2nd and 5. And now they score a big rushing touchdown. Now Florida's out in front right before the 4th quarter. George has got to get something going here. He gets stopped on 4th down, and he punts it. Okay, we got a 3rd and 8 here for Florida. Back and forth game. They're now up 6. Notre Dame stalled their last 2 possessions on offense. Favre drops back. It's picked off. It's picked off by Notre Dame. That's Favre's 2nd INT of the game, and Notre Dame has got to make him play. They hit him for 18. Dropped 3rd and 4. We'll watch from here. 5 of 13 on 3rd down for Notre Dame. Jeff George in pistol here. They're running freaking speed option with Jeff George. Not a good play call. Robert Porsche comes up. Notre Dame is going for this. 4th and 6. I mean, it's aggressive. Okay, Jeff George, shotgun. They're going to run a screen. It's wide open. Beats. Oh, what a tackle. I did not think they had a shot, and they get Robert Smith short. What a play. And then Favre hits Baker for 27. 2nd and 13, 3rd and 5. They pick it up. 3rd and 10 here for Florida. Maybe in a long field goal. Definitely missable if you try to kick it from here. Let's see what they do. Favre drops back, fires it over the middle. That's going to make it not an easy field goal, but, very makeable from that distance. Probably about a 40-yarder. And they make it. They make a 42-yard field goal. Notre Dame's in trouble. 3rd and 8. They pick it up. 2nd and 12. 1st and 10. Oh, Jeff George got picked. That might do it. 3rd and 6 from the 32-yard line here. Notre Dame is on the brink. 3 minutes left. A 1st down will basically ice it. Even right here, they can kick a field goal. It'll be a long one. He's going to fire an out route. It's going to be complete. And I'm going to call it here, guys. That is going to pretty much do it. 3 timeouts. We are down 2 scores for Notre Dame, Jordan, and they score, and that is it. Florida is going to win this one. George goes down, almost hits a late score, but that is it. The Florida Gators and Urban Meyer win the 1990 National Championship on the back of Brett Favre. Wow. They have been knocking on the door for a while. Past 4 or 5 years, they got Jerry Rice, they got Michael Irvin, Brett Favre, Deion Sanders. They've been recruiting really elite level players. Lost 2 years in a row in the conference championship game. Then last year finally got that monkey off the back, won the conference championship. now win the Natty. There it is. And for Notre Dame, that is their 6th appearance, and they are 2-4. I mean, awesome to win 2, but to lose 4 for Lou Holtz, that is just crushing. Had so many chances. Like, the fact A&M has more national championship wins than them is just absolutely kind of crazy. But there it is. Notre Dame's made 6. Florida's made 1, and they only have 1 less win. Look at the stats. Favre played good, but honestly not great. The 2 picks, their running back played really good, 147. Receivers, they just kind of moved it around. They didn't kind of go crazy. Rocket was absolutely sick. 245 and a touchdown, 10 receptions. Couldn't really run the ball great. And honestly, George outplayed, I would say, Favre. 422 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Florida was the better team, though. They were. This is the one, like, Notre Dame's lost some of the Natties where they were the better team on paper. I would say Florida was better this year for sure. So that is it. Florida wins it all. Okay, we are going to advance to bowl season. End of bowl season, we're going to look at all the stats. Okay, final top 25. Florida, Illinois, Notre Dame, Cal, Miami, Nebraska, Georgia, UW. Heisman, we've seen All-Americans. Jeff George, Rocket Ishmael, Graham from Florida, Webb, Schlereth, Sims, Swan, Ted Washington at Florida, Ray Buchanan as a freshman cornerback, and Michael Bates at returner. Second team, Favre, Stotts, McCants. I feel like he's got it. He's been the last 2 years. Todd Light for Notre Dame. There we go. Now let's look at freshmen. Garrison Hurst at LSU, 922 as a freshman. Conway, 834. Frank Wycheck at Georgia, 531. Kennedy, Rofe, Shields defensively. Chad Brown at A&M. Ray Buchanan, he was first team All-American. Okay, so that's where we're sitting. So Jeff George led the country in passing, Favre in second. O'Donnell was 4th at Georgia. Rushing, that's where they sit. Receiving, Rocket and Graham. Look at Rocket's year, though, and he's back next year unless he leaves early. Sacks and INTs. Let's look at team stats. Total offense, Florida, Notre Dame, 2 best offenses in the country, Washington, Nebraska. Nebraska ran for 4,000 yards. Wow. Points per game, Notre Dame, then Florida, then Washington. Defense, points, Cal, UCF, Ohio State. That's where we're sitting. Yeah, let's look at some of these rosters, or we'll just look at some of the individual players here. QB, we looked at Favre already. Like, if he's back next year, like, he's going to put 3 out of 4 really good seasons. He did get injured 1 year. Neil O'Donnell's going to be done. His 3 years as a starter, he was really good. George going to wrap up his career. Really only had 1 great year, but he was really good this year. Won the Heisman. Andre Ware going to leave ULM. That's kind of what he did. Kind of the big. Todd Marinovich hasn't been great at Nevada. Blair Thomas at Auburn, 1,500 yards this year, big year. Emmett, 1,400 yards. Really only had 1 big year at Ohio State, though. Chris Warren, 2 really good years. Larry Centers for Arkansas, 1,200 yards, nice year. Bieniemy is going to be the lead back next year, and he had 1,000 yards this year as the backup. Ricky Waters at Temple, going to be back. He had 1,370 this year. Wideouts, Ricky Prohl at USC, broke 1,000 twice his last 2 years. Jeff Graham, wow, 1,300, and if him and Favre are both back next year unless they leave early. Rocket has been incredible his last 2 years. Ed McCaffrey, really nice at Bama. Herman Moore, meh. Keenan McCardell, kind of meh. Desmond Howard, going to be back, only a sophomore. That threesome that they had with Graham, Favre, and Howard all should be back next year unless they leave early, and they just won the Natty, so that's pretty scary. Ben Coates, A&M, decent. Strong safety. Leroy Butler wraps up his career, only had 6 INTs. Corners, Eric Davis is done. Aeneas Williams, right outside Pop, had a really good career at UCLA. Singleton, he's done at Florida. He's been really good for them. Middles, Junior Seau is going to be done. Okay, that's kind of all our main guys I wanted to look at. Okay, here we are, National Signing Day. Let's see, we do know most. Charlie Ward ends up at Florida. That's huge for them. Gus Frerotte, Syracuse. Kind of knew all the other QBs. Garner and Falk, we knew. Wideouts, John Morton ends up at Hawaii. I don't know if I've ever seen a big 5-star end up at Hawaii. Bruce ends up at Bama. Tackles, we knew. Stussy ends up at USC. They get a couple of really good offensive linemen because they got Stussy and then they also got Larry Allen. So that's big for them. Centers, Mawai goes to Georgia. Nalen goes to Notre Dame. McGinnis ends up. So USC had a nice recruiting class finally. D-tackle, Wilkinson, Adams, Florida. Bryant Young ends up at Nebraska. We knew that. Middle linebacker, Gideon was A&M. Yeah, and then they got the corner, Glenn. Then they free safety Washington went to UCLA. And this is the last big one. Harrison ends up at the national champions, Florida Gators. So let's look at the top classes. A&M, number 1, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Bama, LSU, Arkansas, UCLA, Florida. Where's USC? USC signed a ton of big guys. Okay, they barely signed anybody except the guys we seen, so. But they got 3 really good guys on the trenches. Okay, we're just going to advance through the rest of the offseason. This is going to be the 1991 season. Okay, guys, so I just noticed something. Jimbo Fisher, I think he might have retired. A&M had Jimbo Fisher this whole time and he was absolutely killing it for them. And I think he just retired and they got this new Roger Cole as their head coach. Not a good recruiter. So yeah, this could change the whole game. A&M's been so good through this whole sim. And yeah, they kind of, we'll have to see. Okay, Mac Brown, Appalachian State on the hot seat. Pete on the hot seat at North Carolina State. Well, we might have had some guys retire and stuff too. We had way more coaches up at the top there. Woody Hayes, safe. Lou Holtz, safe. Jimmy, safe. Urban, good. Osborne, Joe Pa, Saban, Schembeckler, Schnellenberger, Kirby, Dabo, Barry, Whittingham. Yeah, we lost a bunch of guys. We're down to 16 guys. We've lost 8 coaches. And I just don't know, like, do they just never come back? They're just gone. Okay, so we're down to 16 coaches from 24. Crazy. It's weird they wouldn't have got hired at OCs or anything. So yeah, we're down. We lost some coaches here. So crazy. Okay, well, we'll see how many can actually make it all 40 years. We might only have like 5 or 6 coaches by the end of the 40-year mark. Hey, that is all good. Okay, I'm going to make the 91 recruiting class and then we'll get into it. All right, guys. So 1991 recruiting class is created. This is a very good class. The next 2 classes are really, really good. Those are the 2 I've been looking at. Yeah, like we got some crazy classes coming up. The next one I'm really excited for. This one is very good also, though. So at QB, we got 3. First, we got Kerry Collins, who played at Penn State, played in the NFL for a long time, was a starter for the Titans, a few other teams. He's from Pennsylvania. He's looking at Penn State, Ohio State, Temple, Army. Then we have Steve the Air McNair, made a Super Bowl with the Titans, play long-time quarterback, played for the Ravens as well. He went to a small school, Alcorn State, but he's going to be a really high recruit right now. He's going to be Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, Tennessee are his top. And then our third one is going to be Slash, Cordell Stewart. Played at Colorado, played like receiver, QB in the NFL. So really good athlete, can kind of do it all. This is going to be a really big recruit for whoever gets him. Looking at Mississippi State, Bama, Ohio State, Georgia, A&M. Okay, if we move on to running back. First, we got Terrell Davis, NFL MVP. Won 2 Super Bowls with the Broncos. He played at Georgia. He's from San Diego, California, though. So he's looking at SC, UCLA, Cal, or A&M. We got Kijana Carter. He played at Penn State, and he was like the 3rd overall pick or something in the draft. He was kind of a bust in the NFL, but was obviously good in college. He's from Ohio. He's looking at Ohio State, Notre Dame, Michigan, Penn State, Maryland. Then the 3rd is Curtis Martin, one of the most rushing yards in NFL history. He played at Pitt in real life. He's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He's looking at Auburn, Nebraska, Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama. Okay, then we're moving on to wide receivers. The first one is Antonio Freeman, played with Brett Favre in Green Bay. Really good receiver. He went to college at Virginia Tech. He's looking at Arizona State, Miami, Florida State, SC. We got Joey Galloway, one of the fastest college football NFL players of all time, went to Ohio State. He was like a top 10 pick by the Seahawks in the NFL draft. He's looking at Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan State, Kentucky, and Michigan. Then we get JJ Stokes from San Diego, California. He played at UCLA, big receiver, 6'4", 215. He's looking at UCLA, Cal, Stanford, USC, Hawaii. And the last one is going to be Michael Westbrook, who played at Colorado with Slash. He's looking at Ohio State, Michigan, Georgia, A&M, and Florida. Okay, we got 2 tight ends here. First, we got Kyle Brady. He played at Penn State. He's looking at Florida, Penn State, Stanford, Georgia. Then we got Mark Bruner, who played at University of Washington. He's looking at UW, Oregon State, Oregon, Texas A&M. Okay, we have some pretty good offensive linemen here. First, Tony Baselli, one of the best offensive linemen ever. He played at USC, really high pick. He's from Moreno Valley. SC is not on his list, or UCLA. He looks like he wants to go out east. He's looking at Florida, Florida, Auburn, Georgia, A&M, LSU. Then we got Scott Gregg, who played at Montana. He's from Salem, Oregon. He's looking at SC, LSU, A&M, Washington, Alabama. Then we go to guards. We got Reuben Brown. Really good guard. He played at Pitt. He's looking at Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Auburn. We have no centers. We moved to defensive ends. We got Kevin Carter, big time defensive end. Went to Florida. He's 6'6", 280. He's not wanting to stay in state though, which is kind of surprising. He's looking at Oklahoma, Illinois, A&M, Army. Then we have Hugh Douglas, who's from Ohio, but he's looking like he might want to go to Florida or Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Ohio State, Nebraska. Okay, then we move to D tackle, and we have one of the best D tackles of all time, Warren Sapp, who played at Miami. It looks like he wants to stay in state, so either Florida, Miami, UCF, Florida State, maybe Georgia. Oh, sorry, we do have a center actually on my list. It got put under D tackles for some reason. It's Barrett Robinson. He played at TCU. He's looking at A&M, LSU, Alabama, Arkansas. Then, yeah, we have our DND tackles. Now, we only have one linebacker. It's an outside linebacker, but it is Derek Brooks, one of the best linebackers of all time. He played at Florida State, but he looks like he wants to leave the state. Looking at Penn State, Ohio State, SC, Auburn, Texas. We have no middles. We have one corner, but he's an absolute super stud. Ty Law. Played at Michigan. He was really good for the Patriots on their kind of early run, Super Bowl run in the early 2000s. So he's looking at Penn State, Syracuse, Ohio State, or Temple. Then we just have one safety. It is free safety Brian Dawkins. He played at Clemson in real life. Obviously, Weapon X, playing for the Philadelphia Eagles. He's from Jacksonville. He's looking at Florida, Alabama, Auburn, Georgia. So this class, guys, we have a ton of Hall of Famers, elite level players in this class. So really excited for this one. Okay, we're going to sim to the start of the season, and then we're going to check out, all our rosters and see how we're looking all through that. Okay, so here we are at the start of the 91 season. We're going to look at top 25 here. So Florida, A+ across the board. They're defending national champs. We got Nebraska, number 2 A's across the board, basically. They look really good. Ohio State looks good offensively, not great defensively. Once again, A&M not going anywhere, right with Florida. Florida is looking like the most talented team. UW looks pretty good. Notre Dame looks pretty good, and they just always end up making the national championship. So Georgia looks good. Miami looks really good. South Carolina, Cal, Illinois, UCLA all look decent. Oklahoma looks not bad. Bama looks okay. LSU looks not bad. Florida State looks all right. Texas, but Texas just hasn't been putting it together at all. Arkansas, those are kind of our A schools. Look at Heisman watch. Brett Favre trying to win his first Heisman. Already won a national championship. Had 2 of his 3 years. The 2 years he stayed healthy, he's been nasty for the Gators, so he's got to be the Heisman favorite right now. Okay, now let's look at some of these rosters. So Bama, they got Ed McCaffrey. They don't look bad this year. They got a good QB. They don't have anybody once he leaves, though, so they got to get a recruit. Not much at running back, but wide receiver, they just got Isaac Bruce. They got Ed McCaffrey this year. They got this Stephen Bean, who's like a pretty good player. So it's look like they could maybe throw the ball. They have some good defenders, a couple of safeties, linebackers, middle linebackers. They actually, Bama could be decent this year. Arkansas lost all their studs. They got Ty Detmer, but kind of lost all their studs. Same with Auburn. They were those type of schools who kind of have 1 year where everybody's a senior, everybody's back, and they have a shot. But once those players leave, you're kind of down. So that's kind of where those guys are at. Florida looks like, best team in the country, probably with A&M. They have Favre. They also have this Charlie Ward coming in as a freshman who's going to take over next year for Favre. They got Graham and Desmond Howard this year, the best twosome of receivers in the country. And then they have like a bunch of young guys they're bringing up too. So yeah, this team just in general is very, very good. Would not be shocked if they won it all again. Florida State looks okay, but Georgia, do they finally not have a QB? And they don't. This is the first time in probably 8 years they haven't had an elite QB. They've been the best at consistently recruiting the quarterbacks. They have some good players around them, but they haven't even been great when they've won a natty, but other than that, they haven't been that good, even when they haven't had the great QB. So I'm not expecting anything crazy from them this year. LSU, Aeneas Williams is kind of their super stud. Garrison Hurst. Oh, and they have Jerome Bettis. So they have like two just power big running backs. We'll see if they can use them well. Miami looks like they're one of the better teams. Yeah, they got Jeff Blake, really nice QB. Leon Lett this year, really good running back. So yeah, Jimmy Johnson is starting to get together there. They're going to have Jeff Blake for the next 2 years. And yeah, a chance to do something with him. Senior. This Nichols will be by far their number one weapon next year. But yeah, this Miami team could definitely do some damage. Michigan, Jimmy Smith, but yeah, they look okay. Nebraska, still have Tom Osborne. They're starting Trent Green, only a sophomore. Doesn't really fit their system. But hey, he's a really good player. They have a good running back, good junior in behind him. How's their receivers? Couple of really like senior receiver, Maurice Williams, Tremblay. Okay, so I mean, Nebraska could be really good. Yeah, Nebraska definitely could be good. Notre Dame, who's just, every time you think they might take a step back, they've been right back in it. They have Brad Johnson, Mark Brunell, Rick Meyer. Look at their QB room. All three guys. So for at least the next 4 years, they are going to have a stud quarterback, which obviously just helps. They have a couple of stud running backs who are young. Receiver, they got Rocket. They haven't really getting that big time recruit. That guy's a sophomore. This guy's a sophomore, junior. So they'll have this Ben Smith. So they haven't got one of our stud guys, but they have some good young receivers. Freshman there. I think they've been doing good on the O-line. Lincoln Kennedy, Lewis, nice center with Nayland in behind him. This is going to kind of be the Eric Bieniemy show. Yeah, Ohio State definitely doesn't feel like they're quite on that national title contender list right now. OU, I really like their young players they've gotten. Like they have these two sophomore quarterbacks they can use. Both athletes can kind of be used in their triple option offense. Four junior tailbacks that are all really good. Can cycle through junior, senior. So yeah, this year and next year, I think are their kind of years where they could possibly go on a run. They don't have those super studs though, but I do like their young talent on offense. Oregon, Penn State, Herman Moore. They got a couple of really good receivers, nice running back. QB's just okay, and they really have a precipitous fall. They have 98, 96, and then by the time you get to the bottom of their list, they're in the like low 80s. So we could see a pretty steep fall from grace for them over the next year or two. Temple, they still have Ricky Waters this year, 1,300 yards from last year. Tennessee, they fired Nealon. So Texas, they have Keenan McCardell, and he's gone next year. Yeah, they're fine, but not scary. A&M, probably gonna be right there. Yeah, they got Klinger for this year. They probably need a QB in the next year or two, but they got Marshall Faulk waiting in the wings for taking over for Bennett next year. Wide receiver, they only have freaking 5 wide receivers. I don't really know how that works. And they're all upper. They have one. I mean, yeah, they'll have 2 receivers that are on the roster, so they desperately need some receiver talent. Tight end, obviously really good. They're going to be really good on the O-line. Yeah, like, really good. Yeah, Will Shields. Yeah, they're absolutely loaded on the O-line. So maybe they lose their quarterback in a year or two. Don't have a ton of receivers. But yeah, they're good on the D-line, but they can just ride their O-line and Marshall Faulk. They did lose their coach, though, as well. They have a good young linebacking core. Pretty nice at corner. Lots of safeties. So yeah, this A&M team, to me, it's Notre Dame, Ohio State. Or sorry, Notre Dame, them and Florida right now pretty easily. UCLA, good. Bates, Tommy Vartel. USC, Antoine Johnson's a good QB for them. They're like decent, but they're really not killing it with our recruits. You'd think they could lock down the West Coast a little bit better, but they're not bad, but not elite. We'll sim to week 9 and then we'll take a look where everyone is. All right, so week 9, we are going to look at all prospects, see our recruiting. QB Kerry Collins looking like Army, Temple, Ohio State desperately needs him. Okay, so that's where McNair's leaning. And last slash, Mississippi State or Ohio State. Ohio State needs one of those two QBs bad. Terrell Davis looking like USC, Cal, or Colorado State. Kijana Carter looking like Ohio State, Michigan, maybe Penn State. Curtis Martin looking like the Buffaloes, Nebraska. I hope he goes to Nebraska. I really do. He would fit. They need that stud running back, and he would just fit what they need so perfectly. I kind of want to see Nebraska go on a run like they did in the 90s. Okay, moving on to wide receivers. Antonio Freeman looking at the U, Arizona State, Florida State, and Hawaii. Joey Galloway looking like Kentucky, Ohio State, or Western Michigan. If Ohio State could get him and one of those two QBs, they'd be in a great spot. JJ Stokes, Western Michigan, USC, UCLA, Hawaii. And last, we got Westbrook, who's Ohio State, Georgia, Michigan. He's not really getting recruited heavy right now. Tight end, Kyle Brady looking at Florida, Rutgers, Stanford. Bruner looking at Washington, Oregon State, A&M. Baselli looking at Florida, LSU, Pitt. Greg locked in at Washington. Ruben Brown looking at Florida. So Florida has a chance to get him, Baselli, maybe UCF or A&M. Center, Robinson looking like Arkansas, Hawaii. Who's the coach at Hawaii? They seem to be in on a lot more of these guys. Kevin Carter's going to Oklahoma. Hugh Douglas going to Notre Dame, Nebraska, Ohio State. The tackle Warren Sapp, Florida, ULM, Texas Tech, Marshall. What a group of schools. Outside linebacker Derek Brooks looking like Auburn, Penn State, USC. 3-horse race there. Ty Law, Temple, Syracuse, Ohio State. Weird group of schools. And lastly, Brian Dawkins, Florida, Auburn, Alabama, ODU. So Florida has a chance to get Dawkins and Warren Sapp. That would be crazy for them. Yeah, interesting recruiting. I don't know if anybody super jumped out like way. Ohio State seemed to like be in on a lot of big guys. Oklahoma, Army, LSU, Texas, Notre Dame kind of leading the way. Okay, now let's look at the top 25 here. Nebraska 6-0. Tom Osborne. We could see a Nebraska Penn State game maybe. Miami 6-0. They look like they have a chance this year. Florida's at 16, so they must have lost a few games. Stanford undefeated. Penn State, Army, TCU, Georgia, A&M, Alabama, Illinois, Cal, Oklahoma, Notre Dame 2 losses. Florida State a loss. Florida, oh, they're 6-1. How did they fall so far? Lost to Vandy 2 weeks ago. So they're on the precipice. Okay. Still kind of early. I might just sim like 3 more weeks and we'll kind of see if there's a regular season game we can hop in. Both 1-loss, 99s across the board. Let's see what happens. So 2 best offenses in the country still, you know, just absolute nails. A&M slightly better defensively, but honestly, they're both pretty solid defensively. There's those Klinger, Sinclair, Coates. They got Graham, Favre, and Howard. They're just big 3 on offense. Injury report. There we go. Florida trying to hang on, win this, and you're still alive for the national championship. If A&M wins, they have a chance to try and go win their 4th national championship of the sim. No one else even is at 3 right now. We got a few teams at 2, or maybe even only 1. So obviously this is massive. Alrighty, we are going to sim through the first quarter here. A&M goes down and scores. Florida gets stopped. A&M gets stopped. A&M's driving here, though. They get stopped. Florida's trying to drive, and they're really trying to run the ball here. 2nd and 24, 3rd and 18, throwaway. A&M, 2nd and 9, 3rd and 7. Okay, here's a big 3rd and 7 for Texas A&M. Obviously a huge play right here. Klinger and shotgun, they're going empty here. Klinger drops back. They have kind of a screen set up. Oh, and they actually get good. Oh my. The corner absolutely comes and depletes the guy in the flats. It is Florida football. 5-yard rush, -2. Oh my gosh. 3rd and 12 here for Florida A&M. Florida cannot get their offense going at all. They're getting completely stymied. Klinger and shotgun here. Drops back. Going deep. Over the middle. That's picked off. Picked off by the Gators. That is a bad throw by Klinger. And we have a defensive battle right now. The two top offenses in the country. And they're getting kind of shut out here. Florida is really trying to run the ball. I don't know why they're not trying to pass. Here it is on 3rd and 14. Trying not to get shut out in the first half here. They're trying to defend their national championship with Brett Favre. Favre drops back, has time. Now he is going down. And A&M's defense is eating Florida alive right now. But Florida's defense is doing a really good job on A&M as well. But here they go. They just hit 3 straight 25-plus yard plays. Oh my God, Klinger intercepted on the goal line. And now Graham for 30, Desmond Howard for 24. Oh, they had to kick a field goal right before the half. Okay, 7-3, A&M in the lead. We got a 3rd and 5 here for Florida. They're 5 of 10. This offense has not been good. They kind of picked it up right before the end of half right there. They need to keep going. Favre over the middle. His running back took a hit, but made a play. Favre, new school record passing yards, 13,235. Passing Chris Leak. They will keep simming here for Jackson. What was that? Favre fumble. A&M recovers. 3rd and 12 for Klinger. They're out of field goal range. Like Favre is 120 yards passing right now. He might not eclipse 300, which is just unheard of for him. Klinger drops back, 4-man rush. They get pressure with the front 4 there, and these defenses are balling. Okay, let's see what Favre can do. We got 3rd and 7 from their 10-yard line for Florida. They cannot get it going on offense. A&M pumping up the crowd. Florida on the road. Oh, they gave it to him. I was going to say, that was like in his downfield arm. Looked like it might have not have been a first down. Okay, then they hit Desmond for 20. 1 yard, incomplete. They get stopped. Running, hit for 23. 15-yard penalty. We got 1st and goal from the 4-yard line from A&M. They have played so good defensively. They go up 14-3. I don't know if Florida's going to come back, but they get the fullback for a loss of 2 on that one. You keep it 10-3. Obviously, you're still in this one. You're still in it either way, but oh, they score a touchdown the next play. 14-3. Florida needs. They are not throwing the ball. Now it's real over. 26-3. A&M bends Florida over, and that is it. Favre, he won a natty, but he's definitely not winning a second one. They are out of it. A&M inside track right now. If they go undefeated, they'll probably play Nebraska in the national championship, trying to win their 3rd. Klinger played pretty good. It looks like Falk actually got some run today. That was them receiving. Florida really just couldn't get anything going or on the ground. Look at their yards per carry. Absolutely awful. Favre was not good. What a horrible showing by the Gators, and they are out. I want to just kind of look who else is, like, who's in the Heisman watch. We'll look at just kind of the stats right now. Corey Stone at Nebraska, Favre 2nd, Klinger, Dan McGuire at Stanford. The season stats, Dan McGuire leading the way. Brad Johnson, Brett Favre, Jeff Blake. So a bunch of our real life QBs. Bates at UCLA, Stone, Bolden at Ohio State. So Bieniemy must have got hurt. Receiving, Graham, Conway, Rocket, still over 1,000. Tackles, sacks, and INTs. Okay, we are going to sim to conference championship weekend now. All right, so let's see where we are sitting. Nebraska still 12-0. A&M's going to have a rematch with Florida. I don't think that if they, I don't know. There's a bunch of, holy, look at all the one loss. Look at all these matchups. That is crazy. 2 playing 7, 6 playing 4, 5 playing 3, 4 playing 5. And then Nebraska. So we're just going to kind of, we already watched one game, so we'll only watch the Natty, but we'll just kind of sim through these and we'll just kind of see. So first big one is Nebraska, Michigan. If Nebraska wins, they're in. So we're just going to sim this one. Nebraska does beat Michigan. They are going to be in. So who's number 2? This A&M game, we'll save that. We'll save that for last. So Stanford in 3. If they win and, if either of these teams win and A&M loses, they have a real chance to get in there. So let's sim. Stanford beats USC pretty handily. Then we have Notre Dame, Miami. The winner of this, if A&M loses, they easily have a shot. Who's it going to be? Notre Dame beats Miami. Okay, so it really all comes down to Florida A&M. If A&M wins, they're in. If they lose, it's either Stanford or Notre Dame. Let's see. A&M wins by 3. So it looks like it's going to be Nebraska, A&M. Maybe Stanford will jump A&M. I don't know, but that's most likely to me. So Stone at Nebraska wins the Heisman. Sullivan, Klinger, McGuire, and then Favre gets 5th. So who do we got? We got A&M, Nebraska. That's what I was pretty sure. So Stanford just misses out with 1 loss. TCU only also with one loss, but A&M trying to win their 4th national championship. Nebraska, I don't think has been to one. Oklahoma made it. Don't think Nebraska has made it. So maybe if Nebraska wins this, though, they could go on their kind of 1990s run like we've seen in real life. In the mid-90s, they were incredible, won like 2 or 3 national championships. So this could be the start of Nebraska's run right here. I want to look at recruiting. This will be the last time we look at it before National Signing Day. So Kerry Collins looking like Buffalo or Ohio State. Steve McNair going to Mississippi State. That's a huge pickup for them. And then Slash is going to Miss. Why do they do that? There's 126 schools and you got to go to the same one. There's 3 of you. TD going to USC. That's a huge get for USC. Kajana Carter going to Michigan. That's a big pickup there. Curtis Martin, either Michigan. He's got 4 teams. I hope he goes to Nebraska. Don't go to Michigan for sure. They just got Kajana Carter. Wideouts, Freeman, either Hawaii or Miami, it looks like. Joey Galloway locked in at Ohio State, his alma mater. That's huge. JJ Stokes looking like UCLA, Hawaii, or USC, Western Michigan, maybe. Westbrook, NIU, Bowling Green, Georgia. So kind of small schools. Brady going to Florida, Kyle Brady. Bruner going to UW. Baselli, LSU, Georgia, Florida. Greg going to Washington. Brown looking like Florida, Auburn, maybe Bama. Center, Robinson looking like Arkansas, Colorado, Hawaii. The end, we knew Carter. Hugh Douglas going to Notre Dame. BT, Sapp looking like Florida or Georgia. Huge on the line there. Derek Brooks going to Auburn. Okay. Corner, Ty Law going to Ohio State. Ryan Dawkins going to Florida. Okay, so Ohio State, Florida are kind of the ones standing out to me. Okay, I can't believe A&M is trying to win their 4th national championship right here, right now. Right? Yeah, so right now, A&M won in 1983, 1984, and 1987. Now, it's been a few years, but they've been on the cusp the whole time. They are very close teams. 1st and 3rd on offense, 3rd and 5th in points allowed on defense. Oh, Nebraska has Michael Strahan, Trent Green. I'm excited. I hope that'd be really cool if Nebraska just went on a run here. And it's in the rain. Nebraska is running their triple option offense in the rain. This might be the perfect time. This definitely you'd think would lean them over A&M, but who knows? Hard Rock Stadium. I'm low-key cheering for Nebraska. I just think it'd be cool to have Nebraska go on a run in the 90s, just like in real life. A&M's won freaking 3 already. So, okay, we're going to go through the first quarter here, though. A&M's definitely the better team on paper, but we got 3-3 here, 7-3, or sorry, 1st and goal from the 1 though. Yeah, so 10-3 here. Or A&M, Nebraska gonna have to do something. Trent, Griffith, Stone, Williams for 16. 3rd and 3, they pick it up. 3rd and 8 here for Nebraska. Even a field goal here obviously is good for them, but not ideal. Trent Green, they got the elite QB in right now, even though he's not the best fit for the system, but he can throw it. He can throw it. So if they can have this, him passing the ball along with their really good run game, like that's just such a nice balance for them. Incomplete. And they score to tie it up 10-all. Klinger, 2nd and 12, 3rd and 12. Cornhuskers have them, backed up here. You've got to force a punt if you're Nebraska here. 4 down, bring a blitz in Klinger's face. He's going to get that off wide open. Oh, that's a bust on the back end. And Klinger throws a dime for a huge 65-yard touchdown. That is massive. 3rd and inches here. We'll see what kind of runs Nebraska's got on the table here. What a throw by Klinger. In behind the defense. Okay, oh, they're going to drop back here. Green, and he turfs it. Jason Gideon with the pressure. Trent Green's been really good to start, but all of a sudden A&M, okay, they got him to 3rd and 10 again here. You need something from Michael Strahan on the D-line. You need something here if you're Nebraska. You cannot have another big play down the field here. You're down only 7. If you can stop them, you get the ball. Gonna check it down, and a great tackle there. Big time play by the Cornhuskers. Nebraska gets the ball. They get a few nice runs there. Oh, but they get to 3rd and 10. Klinger 144 and a touchdown. Green gonna be in pistol here. This is definitely a passing down. Oh, they're gonna go screen, and Green doesn't even get it off. A&M is gonna call a timeout. Klinger throwaway. They got 3rd and 9 here. Happened 4th and 4, so Nebraska gets the ball back again, but they're in 3rd and 15 here. I mean, even if you're down 7 and if you're Nebraska, you're in this game. You got to be the underdog, and it's a 3-time national championship champion. Oh, a ton of pressure. Great defensive stand by A&M there. Green, I mean, I said he's playing good. I mean, only 93 yards passing isn't great, but Wilkerson, 4th and inches, and they stop him. Griffin for 12, incomplete. Yeah, okay, that's it. Get to the half. Who gets the ball? Nebraska gets the ball to start. We got 3rd and 3 here for the Cornhuskers. They got to start doing something on offense. They had some nice drives in the first quarter, but they've been a little slow moving here. Trent Green, hard count under center. Real hard count. Oh, did they get him to jump, or is that a false start? That's got to be a false start. Yeah, one too many there, Nebraska. Yeah, we're just going to sim. Oh, hits him for 8, and then he gets picked. Oh, no, they punted it. Okay, weird. 2nd and 9, 3rd and 6, 4th and 6. And Nebraska's defense is hanging in there. Punt, Klinger, Mitchell, 1st and 10, 2nd and 5, 1st and 10, 2nd and 8, 3rd and 5. Nebraska, you gotta do something here. Your offense is stalling out. Klinger is dealing for A&M. Drops back. Too much time as someone. Oh, picked off by the Cornhuskers. Too much time, and then he decides to force it down the field, and he gets picked, and the Cornhuskers got light. But now you got to do back to, oh my gosh, it was 4th and 15, and then so they scored 2 plays later. 14-12, 2nd and 8, 3rd and 10. Cornhuskers are 2 of 10 on 3rd down. You got to do something here if you're Nebraska and Trent Green. Trent Green drops back. Time. No, that could have been a pick 6, and we would have been night here. 3rd and 7, 1st and 10, 2nd and 8, first. Yeah, this is point. Okay, so that's going to be it. Unless Nebraska does 31-17, 38-17, 38-24. Yeah, they're down 14 with a minute. Not going to happen. Oh, yeah, intercepted. That is it. Texas A&M wins their 4th national championship. Nebraska felt just a little bit overmatched there, but maybe they can, use that. They have some good, like they're having Strahan, they're having Trent Green back. I kind of hope they sign Curtis Martin, and you could be in a spot where you could really do some damage over the next few years if you're Nebraska. We'll look at the stats. Klinger played really good. 4 touchdowns, 1 pick, 157 on the ground for Bennett, and they're going to have they lose Wilkerson, who's their big time receiver, but they're going to have Marshall Faulk as their lead back next year. Yeah, their pass catchers at Nebraska are all, they'll be back next year, but they got to get some more receivers in. They could not run the ball at all. Green played all right, but yeah, A&M's D-line I think was just a little too much for the front for Nebraska to handle there. So final top 25, A&M leading the way 13-1. Stanford ends at 13-1. Notre Dame, Nebraska, TCU. Okay, that's where we're kind of going. So this is going to be the start of the 92 season, our second last season of this video number 2 in this reset. So gonna make it and then we'll get into it. All right, so here we are, start of the 92 season, second last season of the video. We have the 92 recruiting class made already. Now, this class is very interesting. It is very good, but it is incredible at really 2 positions, but really 1. There is 7 wide receivers in this class, and there's 4 really good linebackers. Those are the 2 positions where this thing is loaded. Now, at QB, we have Tony Banks, who played at Michigan State, pretty good quarterback in college NFL. Florida A&M, Bama, Stanford. And then our other one is Danny Cannell, played at Florida State. He's like a commentator on college football right now. He's a big Florida State homer. So Danny Cannell we threw in as well. He played in the NFL and stuff as well. So Florida, Georgia, Miami, and A&M. We go to running back. We got 3. We got Lawrence Phillips, who played at Nebraska, was a really high pick in the NFL draft. Was kind of a bust, but was really good at Nebraska. He's looking at OU, Nebraska, Texas. Then we got Mike Allstott. Obviously played. He went Joliet Catholic Academy is what I got him going to, but he obviously was like a fullback running back for Tampa Bay. I put him at running back, even though he's more of a fullback, but I want to see him run the ball. So we'll see where he goes. Florida, Alabama, SC, Georgia, the big boys. And then we got, last but not least, Eddie George, absolute beast. Played at Ohio State, played for the Titans, in the NFL. He's looking at Penn State, Army, Kentucky, Notre Dame, Purdue, Temple. Okay, moving on to wide receivers, and this is where we just got a huge group. First, Eric Moulds, Mississippi State, 6'3", 208, looking at LSU, A&M, Georgia, OU. We got Terrell Owens. Now, Terrell Owens went to Tennessee, Chattanooga from the state of Alabama. Here, he's going to be a 5-star wide receiver. He's looking at Florida, Notre Dame, Alabama, A&M, 6'3", 225. We got Joe Horn. Now, Horn played at a small community college, but played in the NFL for a long time with the Saints. Looking at Ole Miss, Mississippi State, LSU, Alabama, Auburn. We got Amari Toomer, who played at Michigan, played for the Giants in the NFL. He's looking at SC, Alabama, Florida, LSU, Texas A&M. We got Keyshawn Johnson from LA, played at USC, was maybe the 1st overall pick in the draft. Another huge, big-time weapon. And then we got 2 more still. We got Marvin Harrison, not Marvin Harrison Jr. He'll be coming up later, but the OG Marvin Harrison, who is one of the best receivers in NFL history. He went to Syracuse. He's looking at Notre Dame, Florida, A&M, Stanford. And then last but not least, we got Mushin Muhammad. Had a really good NFL career. He played at Michigan State, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, A&M. Like, that 7 group of wide receivers is insane. Couple of NFL Hall of Famers. The rest, like, good NFL, really good college careers. So really cool there. Okay, we have 1 tight end. We got Ricky Dudley. He went to Ohio State. He's from Henderson, Texas. He's looking at SC, Auburn, Stanford, Penn State. Go to tackle with Jonathan Ogden. He's from Washington, D.C. He went to UCLA, went to the other side of the country in real life. Probably not going to do that here, though. He's looking at Florida A&M, SC, Alabama, Georgia. Then we got Willie Anderson, who played at Auburn, played for the Cincinnati Bengals for a long time in the NFL. He's looking at Auburn, Alabama, Georgia, Florida. We have no other guards. We do have some DNs, though. or we have one DN and one D tackle. We got Simeon Rice, part of that Tampa Bay, really good defense in the NFL. He's from Chicago, Illinois. Looking at Mizzou, Georgia, Kentucky, Ole Miss, Notre Dame. D tackle Leroy Glover, who had a really long NFL career. He played at San Diego State, kind of really classic three-tack defensive tackle pass rusher type. He's looking at Stanford, Cal, UCLA, USC. So linebackers, I don't know if I put any of them at, okay, we got Kevin Hardy as an outside, 6'4", 258. He played at Illinois. He's looking at Florida, Notre Dame, Georgia, and Alabama. Then we go to middles. We got Ray Lewis, obviously played at Miami. Florida's trying to become the new Miami, though. They got Brian Dawkins, Warren Sapp last year. If they got Ray Lewis, those three on defense would be the scariest threesome of a college defense ever. My goodness. So he's looking at Florida, the U, Florida State, Georgia, South Carolina. We got Zach Thomas also looking at Florida, then Bama, Georgia, A&M. Zach Thomas played at Texas Tech, obviously a Hall of Fame middle linebacker playing for the Dolphins. Then our third is Teddy Bruschi from California. He's looking at UCLA, Stanford, USC, Cal, Washington. He played at Arizona and obviously was the middle linebacker for those really good Pats teams. So that threesome of linebackers is crazy. We have no corners. We have one free safety, Torrey James from Louisiana, went to LSU. He's also looking at Texas. He's looking at LSU, went to LSU. Also looking at Texas A&M Rice. Then the other safety is Lawyer Malloy, played at University of Washington, played forever in the NFL, was really good in both college and the NFL. Just absolute maniac hitter on the back end. So he's looking at Texas, Stanford, Alabama, Georgia, Nebraska. So really cool class. I'm really excited to see where Ray Lewis and Terrell Owens go. Those are kind of the two I'm most pumped. But yeah, really cool recruiting class. We're going to advance now. Okay, start of the regular season. So A&M, three-time national champions right now, or four-time national champions coming in at first once again. Then we got Miami, we got Notre Dame, we got Nebraska looking pretty good, Florida looking good, but they lost Favre. Stanford looking pretty good, Arkansas looking not bad, UW looking all right, SC looking okay, Oklahoma looking pretty good on offense, Florida State is all right, Georgia's all right, Penn State, Ole Miss, Cal, Air Force, Bama's just okay, Utah, Michigan's just okay, Ohio State good, really good on offense, Texas kind of same, Clemson, UCLA good on offense, LSU good on offense. We have a lot of teams kind of leaning offense right now and not great on defense. So the teams that have a good defense like Miami and Florida, there are only A+ defenses, it looks like. So they're going to have a pretty big advantage this year, even the A- as well. But when everybody's got a good offense, but you're the only two with the elite defense, that should help you quite a bit. David Klinger, the senior quarterback at A&M, trying to win the Heisman. If he wins the Heisman and another national championship this year, 3-year starter in the 90s, he'll be probably our early favorite for player of the decade. We got Jeff Blake, Bolden, Brad Johnson as well, was really good last year, and he's got 3 years. So if he puts up some really good stats, wins a Heisman, wins a Natty over the next few years at Notre Dame, he'll definitely be in the player of the decade kind of mold. Okay, let's look at some of these rosters. So Bama, McLaughlin, they got a nice QB. They got some good wide receivers going down. I want to look at Arkansas, actually. They were still pretty... Oh, they got Ty Detmers. They have a really good senior quarterback. You can do a lot with that. So you never know. The rest of their team looks just decent, but Clemson, kind of a fall from grace for them. Florida, losing Brett Favre. Pierre Harris is actually going to start for them this year, and then they'll have Charlie Ward for the next 2 years. Running back, pretty good. Receiver, they're still good. Oh, they lost Desmond Howard. He left early for the draft. Georgia, Wycheck, Mawai, not bad. But, they got a decent quarterback this year, but they don't have that all-pro level. This sophomore could be pretty good, but Yeah, this is the first year, and I think last year in a while, or basically the whole sim, they haven't had an elite quarterback. LSU, right? They got Jerome Bettis and Garrison Hurst, so they got just 2 stud running backs, probably splitting time. Yeah, Hurst is definitely getting the lion's share of the work, though. They have some good wide receivers. An okay quarterback with 490 plus receivers is pretty nice. So they got a lot on offense. Go to Miami. This was, so they got Jeff Blake at quarterback, a 99 quarterback, and they're supposed to have a good defense. So safeties are okay. Corners are pretty good. They're both seniors, though. Linebacking core is pretty good. D-line is pretty good as well. They're definitely not on Florida's level, but a really good defense. Nebraska. Trent Green, these guys made the national championship last year. They got an elite level receiver, good running back, another good receiver. This team could do something this year. They got Jason Brown, then this Nugent guy. Okay, so this guy's even a worse runner than Trent Green. Running backs, yeah, they got a good stable of running backs for their offense. I think it'd be cool to see all their receivers are seniors or juniors, so. Notre Dame, look, their QB room is insane. Brad Johnson Jr., Mark Brunell sophomore, Rick Meyer sophomore. Crazy. Running back, Robert Smith, only a junior. They got Means coming up the pipeline as well. Wide out, they have not hit on the wide receiver position. They lost Rocket Ishmael. O-line, I'm sure they're fine. They've been recruiting really good on the O-line. Yeah, they're ends. Young guy, Hugh Douglas. Amos is all right. Middle's pretty good. Ohio State, QB's all right. Running backs are nice. Charlie Garner coming up. Got some receivers, and they got a young Joey Galloway coming. So they've started to recruit again a bit better. They need a QB. They have not been getting those QBs. Okay, Oklahoma, their offense, I think this year is going to be pretty nasty. I actually probably would have started this Chad Davis. Looks like they're going to start Andy Riley. It seems like, both juniors. I would have just went for the more speed for their scheme. But yeah, they have a couple of good junior QBs. This guy, freshman coming on, he could be good in a few years. Really nice senior running backs. You got 4 of them. And then you got this Matt Wilson, actually a good freshman coming up. Fits their system. Nice senior receiver, a sophomore who could be good in the next few years. Tight end, they're all right. So yeah, offensively, this team could be really quite good this year. I like OU. Penn State really starting to fall off the map here. Texas, they actually look okay this year, but they're really not hitting the recruits. A&M, they're just going nowhere. You know it. Klinger, they need a quarterback, though. This Brandon Mitchell would be decent, but he's not an elite level guy. Running back, they got Marshall Falk coming in the door. Going to be just absolutely incredible. USC, they got this really good Antoine Johnson at QB, but they have Jenkins, and then they are probably going to start this Bryant next year unless they can recruit somebody who's really going to hurt them. They're, once again, they've actually been recruiting better lately. Yeah, they've got Stussy. They've got McGinnis, Lorenzo Neal at fullback. They have Terrell Davis. If they could get a QB and a receiver in this class, the QB's not great. The QBs aren't great this year, but the receivers, get a few of those in. Washington, Entman, kind of just their one stud. Okay, so that is kind of where we are sitting, guys. Coming into the year, once again, it looks like Notre Dame, Texas, A&M, and Florida are the best teams to me, but we'll see. Yeah, I'm going to sim to week 9, and then we'll see where we sit. All right, here we are in week 9. Actually, we'll look at recruiting really quick here. See where we sit. Oh, QB, Tony Banks going to the U. So they're going to get, they have Blake right now. They're going to get a replacement for him. Danny Cannell looking like the U, Florida, Georgia. How about these other? We never really look at the other guys just because these guys are such a crapshoot. I don't know who's going to be good, but this Greg Jones might go to Notre Dame. Holly. QBs are always super important, obviously. Okay, Lawrence Phillips looking like Oklahoma, Texas, or Nebraska. Like all those fits for him. Mike Allstott. Okay, no one's recruiting him, but Florida, Alabama, SC. And then, Jeff George was our other one. Or Eddie George. Going to Penn State. Big power running back for Penn State. That's a great fit. Okay, receivers. Eric Moulds looking like Ohio State, maybe LSU. T.O. looking like Florida, Alabama. The receiving pipeline at freaking Florida is insane. They went Jerry Rice, Michael Irvin, then that Graham guy, who's like a real life guy, Desmond Howard, and now it looks like they're going to get T.O. That is nuts. Joe Horn looking like Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Alabama. Amari Toomer going to SC. They needed a receiver. They need a QB, but they definitely need a receiver. Keyshawn, either UCLA, USC, UW. Marvin Harrison, Stanford or Bowling Green. Wow. And then last but not least, Mushin Muhammad, not getting heavily recruited right now, but so we'll kind of see where he ends up. Tight end, Ricky Dudley, going to either Auburn, SC, or Kansas State. Tackle, Jonathan Ogden, looking like Florida or A&M, maybe SC. Willie Anderson, Troy, Auburn, Miami, Memphis. Guard, no, we don't have any guards, right? Now, Simeon Rice looking like Indiana, Kentucky, Mizzou, so a bit smaller schools there. Leroy Glover going to UCLA. Kevin Hardy, either Notre Dame or Florida. Ray Lewis is going to Florida. Their defensive core is going to be literally insane. And Zach Thomas either going to go them or Alabama. There's a few schools there. Teddy Bruschi, UCLA, UW, Cal, Miami of Ohio. I cannot believe what Florida's doing on defense right now. Free safeties, Corey James going to LSU. Lawyer Malloy going to Bama. Man, Florida getting Ray Lewis. And they might get T.O. Urban Meyer is doing some nasty shit at Florida, man. Oklahoma, Miami, Notre Dame, UCLA, kind of the tops right now. Okay, let's look at top 25. Miami undefeated. Oklahoma, UCLA, Air Force, my team. Nebraska, 1 loss. Arkansas, 2 losses. 0 losses for Ohio State, but they're at 8. Florida, 1 loss. Mizzou, Penn State, South Alabama, USC, Army, Georgia, 2 losses. A&M's 4-4. Oh my goodness. A&M is 4-4. Well, they're out of the national title hunt. That's for sure. Miami, don't really play anyone. OU, don't really play anyone. UCLA, I'll play USC last game of the year. Nebraska, already through their tough games. Arkansas, not really. Notre Dame, 2 losses, just beat USC. Ohio State, 6-0. They played Penn State. Penn State doesn't really have anyone. Florida just lost to A&M. Oh my God. A&M just barely beat Florida, or they would be 3-5. Mizzou, Penn State, and none of those games are really jumping out to me right now. Go look at Heisman Watch. Ian Riley, the running back at Nebraska, 1,200 yards so far. Not really much of our guys. Blake at Miami and Klinger, both having nice years. We look at passing leaders. Klinger leading the country, Blake in 3rd. Rushing leaders, Riley, Bates in 2nd at UCLA. Receiving, Conway in 3rd at Stanford. Tackles, sacks, team stats, total offense. A&M, Miami, Nebraska, Illinois, Florida. We look at points per game. Miami, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Rutgers, Florida. Defensively, Oklahoma, UCF, Ohio State, UCLA. Points, Ohio State, UCLA, Oklahoma, Air Force, UCF, Oklahoma. Okay, here we are, conference championship weekend. Let's look at prospects. So QBs, Blake we knew, Danny Cannell might go to Florida. So the two Florida guys staying home, or Georgia maybe. Running back, Lawrence Phillips goes to his real life alma mater, Nebraska. Mike Allstott not getting recruited by anyone, so we'll just have to see on National Signing Day where he goes. We knew Eddie George. Wideout, Molds we knew, T.O. we knew, Joe Horn, Mississippi State, Bama are his 2 schools. Amari Toomer we knew. Keyshawn, now USC, UW, maybe UCLA. Marvin Harrison going to Stanford. They're really throwing the ball the last few years, so I don't hate that. Mushin Muhammad goes to LSU. That's a good pickup for them. Tight end, we knew Dudley. Oh, no, we don't know Dudley. Dudley's Auburn, SC, maybe Kansas State. Tackles, Ogden going to Florida. Willie Anderson, Auburn, Memphis, Georgia. DN, Simeon Rice, Indiana, Kentucky. Those are his 2. We knew Glover. Hardy going to Florida. Ray Lewis, Florida. Zach Thomas looks like LSU. I'm glad he didn't go to Florida also. Then Brewski, Washington, Cal, UCLA. Horner, we don't have any. We knew James, and we knew Lawyer Malloy. Florida is putting in work, guys. I don't know if they'll be first. I don't know how many they've signed. They're not even in the top 10, but look who they've signed. Terrell Owens, Jonathan Ogden, Ray Lewis, and that Hardy guy. 3 first ballot NFL Hall of Famers. I don't know if T.O. made it first ballot, debatably like the 3rd best wide receiver of all time. Jonathan Ogden's a top 5 tackle of all time, and Ray Lewis is debatably the best middle linebacker. Yeah, they're putting in work. But who's actually Ohio State already signed 19 players, so Miami, LSU, Oklahoma, Georgia, Notre Dame, Alabama, Texas. That's where we're sitting in recruiting. Look at the top 25 here. Arkansas, 11-1. I did say they got Ty Detmer at quarterback. That can do damage. This game is literally to go to the national championship. The winner will make it for sure. Then we have Oklahoma didn't make their conference championship game. Army versus Tulane, UCLA versus Oregon, Boston College versus Duke. So Michael Bates, the running back at UCLA, has had back-to-back just nasty years. Jeff Blake and Klinger get 4 and 5. Oklahoma gets in versus Florida. Okay. I'm glad it wasn't freaking Army. That's all I'm happy about. I'm shocked UCLA didn't get in. They have an extra loss. Oklahoma didn't make their conference championship game. Or do they not have one in the Big Ten? Yeah, that's where we're sitting. I would not hate to see an Oklahoma win. They actually did win our first national championship in 1980 as well. So if they won this, they've only made 2, and it's been a 13-year gap, and they would tie Notre Dame for second behind A&M. So obviously a big one here. Florida trying to get their only their second appearance. I did not really know if this was Florida's year, but they made it. Florida OU. This is also in a real life national championship kind of rematch. They played each other in like 2008, 09 with like Sam Bradford versus Tebow. So this is where we're sitting, kind of a tale of 2 different teams. So 4th and 3rd on offense, but Oklahoma is the 3rd best rush offense. Florida is the best pass offense. Then 4th and 2nd on defense. 3rd and 4th in yards. These look like they were the 2 best teams stats wise. Charlie Ward did end up starting this year. I don't know if that other QB just got hurt, or they just decided to go with Charlie Ward, or maybe that other QB was hurt and he's back now, because he was not on the injury report there. But I think that number 1 is him. So Ward might be on the bench for this game. Okay, we're going to sim through the first quarter. 7-0 Oklahoma. 14-0 Oklahoma. Florida's got it on the 1-yard line here, though. Yeah, that is not Charlie Ward. So Ward must have just this guy must have been hurt and then came back for the natty here. So Ward goes to the bench. They have a senior in, and Adrian Wallace scores a touchdown. Chomp, chomp, Gators. And they cut it down to a 1-score game here. Oklahoma trying to drive here. 2nd and 2, 3rd and 6 here. What do they got on 3rd and 6? They're going to go shotgun here. Hard count. Going to motion their tight end across the field. Ups back. Pressure coming off the edge. He gets it out, though. That was a great throw. He had that nickel firing off the edge in his face, and he just dropped it down to Ray. Through behind the blitz, completes it. Okay, 3rd and 9. They pick up another big gain. 2nd and 11, and they score a 30-yard touchdown. OU's offense has been tough. And now we got a 3rd and 14 here for Florida. OU trying to put a stranglehold on this game. Florida going empty. What does Urban Meyer have up his sleeve? They are bringing pressure. He drops it down. Not good enough. OU has a chance. They're going to get the ball here. They could go up 28-7 in the second quarter. 5 yards, 6-yard rush, 3rd and 4. What does OU do? Shotgun 2x2 here for OU. Drops back doing a little screen pass. Oh, that D tackle. Was that Warren Sapp? But the guy falls forward. Will Ray picks it up. I'm pretty sure that was Warren Sapp who made the tackle, but the guy fell forward for an extra 4 yards. 13 intercepted. Porsche, the DN, gets an int. 3rd and 7, but Florida cannot get it going. I don't know if I would have played this guy over Charlie Ward, but here it is. Robertson, Kent, McDonald for 20. 2nd and 10, 3rd and 1, 1st and goal from the 4. 1 minute left, and Florida is on the ropes here. they're going to be either down 24 or 28-7 unless they get a turnover. Hand it off. Good tackle by the Gators. They get it some penetration there. Oklahoma, Rodney Harrison, but Oklahoma is on the doorstep here. We're going to do 1K. Incomplete. This would be huge for Florida, even just to hold them to 3. 2x2 shotgun here. Running back is gassed beside the QB. Drops back open in the end zone, 28-7. I don't think Florida's built this year to come back. If they had they still have Favre and Howard and Graham, they'd have a shot, but I don't like their odds here. Okay, we're going to go to the end of the quarter. Oh, they're able to get a field goal there. Okay, I'm going to go through the third, and we'll just kind of see if Florida can do anything here. 35-10, 35-17. Okay, 35-17, Florida football. 5 yards, 8 yards, throwaway, 3rd and 9. Charlie Ward came in at QB, so I don't know if they benched the other dude or what's going on. But this looks like the other QB now to me, so I don't know. Ward was in. Drops it in. Boom. That's a first down. Aaron Wallace. Yeah, it's Pierre Harris was throwing that, so I don't know why Ward was in, but Harris is back. Harris hits George. And that's a touchdown. Okay, it's a 10-point game. 6 minutes left. Florida's defense is good, but they haven't been played like it today. They need to stop 3rd and 8. This is the play of the game. OU is 14 of 18 on 3rd down on this Gators defense. This is go time for them. Drops back, open over the middle, but they get a great tackle. It's 4th and 1 at about the, just past the 50. Is OU gonna go for this? They're not. They're gonna punt. Florida gets the football. 5-yard rush, 5-yard rush. Fumble recovered by OU. Yeah, that's the game. That is it. Wow, Florida coughs it up at the end, threw a pick there, and Oklahoma wins a 13-year difference for Barry Switzer and gets it done. That is OU versus Florida. Oklahoma's 2nd national championship. I said a few years ago, this offense, they have some young guys who look like they could be really good in a few years, and they get it done. The Sooners win the 1992 national championship. They handled Florida. Handled them. I don't think Florida had the guns on offense this year. Harris played okay. I probably would have played Charlie Ward, honestly. He just had more dynamism. Wallace was okay. They didn't have, that big time elite receiver this year at Florida either. Kent, their big guy, had a really good day. 108 and a touchdown. They ran the ball a ton. It wasn't like they were running for crazy yards, but it was enough to keep them honest. And then Davis killed it. 4 touchdowns, 320 yards. And on 3rd down, that was the difference. They absolutely destroyed on 3rd down. Oklahoma, 1992 national champions. Okay, I'm going to advance week. We'll look at the final stats for the 92 season. Okay, final top 25. Oklahoma, Arkansas, UCLA, USC, Florida, Army, Notre Dame, Georgia, Miami, Duke. Heisman we've seen. All-Americans. Blake, big year for Miami. 42 touchdowns, 6 picks. He is gone, though. Michael Bates, his last 2 years were nasty. Nasty at UCLA. Joey Galloway made a first-team All-American as a freshman. 1,288 yards as a true freshman. Okay. As Riley's last 2 years were sick. That is wild. As at receiver, that is tough to do. Here's the rest. Ray Buchanan. Second team, Ty Detmer had a really nice year for Arkansas. Almost made the Natty. Kevin Carter is a freshman. We had a lot of freshmen. He had 7.5 sacks as a true freshman. Levon Kirkland, his final year at Florida. That's kind of what he did. Rodney Harrison, sophomore at Florida, makes it. Jerome Bettis is a kick returner. Kerry Collins. Oh, so they have Kerry Collins playing with frickin' okay, so Ohio State. We got to watch out for them. Curtis Martin, 802. Kijana Carter for Michigan. Joey Galloway, 1288. Kyle Brady at Florida, 556. Kevin Carter, Oklahoma. Warren Sapp. What did Sappy do? No picks. Okay. He really didn't do much, but there you go. Ty Law at Ohio. So Ohio State had a good ass recruiting class. Brian Dawkins. That's where we're sitting. Ohio State. That is a good freshman class. So Ty Detmer led the country in passing. Klinger and Blake on the list as well. Rushing, Bates killed it, won the Heisman. Galloway, second in the country in receiving as a true freshman. There's our tackles. There's our sacks. There's our picks. Look at team stats. Total offense, 6,800 yards for Florida, Miami, Oklahoma. Points per game, Miami, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Florida. Then defense, UCLA, UCF, Oklahoma. Yeah, so Oklahoma was the fifth best defense. Like, they were a really good team. Let's go through. So we knew Blake, and Danny Cannell ends up at Florida. So Florida could have their next QB in kind of their system. Running back, Phillips, we knew. Mike Allstott ends up at USC. So they're going to have him and Terrell Davis together. Jeff George, Penn State. Moulds, Ohio State. So they're going to have Moulds and Joey Galloway. Terrell Owens, we knew. Joe Horn goes to Mississippi State. Amari Toomer, SC. Keyshawn goes to SC. They don't have a quarterback, though. Marvin Harrison, Stanford. Musha Muhammad at LSU. Dudley ends up at Auburn. Tackle, we knew Ogden and Willie Anderson, Troy. No guards or centers. DNs, Indiana. Leroy Glover, we knew. Outside, we knew he's going to Florida. Hardy. And they get this guy as well. Middle, Ray going there, LSU, and then Brewski going to Washington. We knew our safeties, Malloy, and then our free safety at LSU. Okay, let's look at the top. I mean, Florida's is what I would take. I don't know. Like, they might not have signed as many. LSU, good class. Oklahoma, like Florida, though, is just an insane class. Danny Cannell you throw in there as well. Bama, Ohio State, Miami, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Penn State, Nebraska, Georgia. So that is where we're sitting. Florida's class, though, that kind of blows me away. Okay, we're going to start the 93 season and just quickly look at the coaches before I make the recruiting class. Okay, look at our coach info here. So Barry staying on, Bobby staying on, Mac stays at OC at Syracuse, Pete Carroll staying, Jim Harbaugh staying, Woody stays, Lou, Don James stays at BYU, Jimmy stays, Chip stays at UW, Urban, Robert Nealon gets hired as Urban's OC. Okay. Interesting. I don't think they run a very similar system, but I don't know how that'll work. Ed Orgeron hired at the OC at Oklahoma. Tom Osborne staying at Nebraska. Joe Pa, Gary Patterson, Nick Saban, DC at West Virginia. Shem Beckler and then Schnellenberger, Kirby, Steve Spurrier. Dabo goes to the OC at Boise State. Barry Switzer. Kyle Whittingham gets fired at Utah. He had like a ton of wins, and he's the DC at Army now. I really want one of these guys to get fired and go do like a good job and like save them. That'd be cool. Like Nick Saban, someone get hired at like Auburn or something and like take them to the top. I'd really like to see that, but that is where I'm going to end this one. I'm going to start, just make the recruiting class, and 93, we're on the way. All right, guys. So 1993, the last season of this episode number 2, the recruiting class is made. We are going to get into it right now. This is a pretty good class overall. Some really cool players in it. Maybe not quite. I don't know. It's a really good class. So we'll just get into it. We haven't had like an elite QB in a while. So that's probably one of the, the last 2 have only had 2 kind of decent QBs, including this one. So that's probably the biggest hole in this, but yeah, lots of good players. Very spread out, this one. So first at QB, we got 2. We got Jake the Snake Plummer. He went to he went to Arizona State and played for the Denver Broncos. Was a good NFL QB, like mobile, could like throw on the run, all that stuff. So he's looking at Notre Dame, Florida, A&M, Alabama. Then our other one, okay, somehow he's a 3-star, but he's actually a lot better than that, is Danny Werfel. He played at Florida. He's looking at Florida, the U, UCF, South Carolina, Texas A&M. So 2 QBs for us right now. Not incredible QBs, but decent. Okay, we go down to running back, and we got 3 good ones. First, Warwick Dunn from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He went to Florida State. He's looking at Florida, Bama, A&M, Auburn, LSU. We got Tiki Barber, the running back. Rondé's the corner. They both went to Virginia. He's looking at Florida, Miami, Notre Dame, Washington, UCLA. And then the other one is Corey Dillon. He went to University of Washington. He's big, powerful running back, played for the Bengals and the Patriots in the NFL. He's looking at Washington, UCLA, Oregon, Fresno State. So looking like he's going to stay in the Northwest. Go to wide receiver. We got 2. So last one we had 7. So these 2 are like good, but not quite on the last, level. First, Derek Mason, really good in the NFL, had a really long career. He played at Michigan State. He's from Detroit. He's looking at Michigan, Notre Dame, Michigan State, Tennessee, Ohio State. Then we got Ike Hilliard, who played at Florida. He's from Louisiana. He's looking at Florida, A&M, SC, other USC, South Carolina, and I think that's Notre Dame. Okay, then tight end. Got one of the best of all time, Tony Gonzalez. He's from California. It looks like he wants to go to Florida, Notre Dame, Miami, OU, so kind of go out east, but one of the best tight ends ever. Then we go offensive line. We have a group of tackles. Like we have 2 of the best tackles of all time. We got first Orlando Pace. He went to Ohio State. He's from Ohio. Played forever for the Rams, NFL Hall of Famer. Looking at Nebraska, Oklahoma, Ohio State, Michigan, LSU. Then we got Walter Jones. These guys were out of the same draft class, only a few picks apart. He got drafted by the Seahawks. He's from Alabama, and he went to Florida State. He's looking at Florida, LSU, Georgia, A&M, and Notre Dame. Then the last one is Tariq Glenn, who went to Cal. He's from Cleveland, Ohio, though. He's looking at LSU, Georgia, Mizzou, Auburn. We have no guards or centers. We have a couple of DNs. First, Mike Vrabel, NFL head coach, played for the Pats, was where he was really known for. He played at Ohio State. He's from Akron, Ohio. He's looking at Notre Dame, Florida, LSU, Miami, Ohio State. We got Peter Boulware from Columbia, South Carolina. He's looking at Florida, LSU, Notre Dame, Georgia. He was a pass rusher. He went to Florida State. He was a pass rusher for the Baltimore Ravens. Then the last one is Jason Taylor, NFL Hall of Famer, I believe. Went to Akron, but he's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Looking at Penn State, Ohio State, Syracuse, West Virginia. Big defensive end, played for Miami, was where he was known most for in the NFL. Okay, we got 2 defensive tackles. First one is Darrell Russell. He's from Bakersfield, California. He went to USC. He was like a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. Big guy, 6'5", 325. Looking at Alabama, Notre Dame, Michigan, Nebraska, Ohio State. Then the other one is Trevor Price. Played in the NFL, long time. Big kind of, 6'5", 300 pounds. He played at Clemson. He's from New York. He's looking at Syracuse, BC, Villanova, Tennessee. Okay, we only have 1 linebacker. It's James Ferrier, who was a middle linebacker for the Steelers for a long time. He played at West Virginia. He's from Virginia. He's looking at Oklahoma, Florida, Notre Dame, Ohio State, SC. Then we go to corner. This is a really good corner class. So first, there's Rondé Barber, obviously Tiki's twin brother. Doesn't look like they're looking at the same schools. I obviously can't, let the computer know these 2 are related, and they probably go to the same school. So he's going to be looking at Vanderbilt, Georgia, Bama, Clemson, UK, where Tiki was looking more at like Florida, Miami, kind of those schools. So then we have Sean Springs. He was a high pick in the NFL draft. Ohio State, played a long time in the NFL. He's from Virginia. He's looking at Ohio State, Notre Dame, Georgia, Kentucky. We got Sam Madison. Madison played at Louisville. He's from Florida. He's looking at Florida, Alabama, the U, Oklahoma, Auburn. We got Bryant Westbrook from Texas. He played at Texas. He's from Charlotte, North Carolina. He's looking at Georgia, Duke, Villanova, UNC. And then the last one is Al Harris. He played at Texas A&M, and he big time career for the Packers in the late 90s to mid 2000s. He's looking at Ohio State, Georgia, Oklahoma, UCLA, Cal. And then we just have 1 safety. It is Darren Sharper. He played at small school William and Mary. Really good NFL career. Had some stuff go on once he was out of the NFL, but
really good in college, really good in the NFL. He's looking at Tennessee, Duke, Notre Dame, Ohio State, UNC. So that is our class, guys. I think there's like 4 or 5 NFL Hall of Famers in this class. Like I said, only thing, it doesn't have really good QBs. The last couple of classes haven't had great QBs. That's kind of been the only thing with them. But other than that, they're definitely pretty solid. Okay, we're going to get into this 93 season here. All right, so here we go. Start of the 93 season. We're going to do all kind of our preseason stuff here. So look at the preseason polls. Oklahoma coming in at an A+ across the board almost. They are the defending national champions. Then we got Florida, also basically A+ across the board. Arkansas looks pretty good, A-. Notre Dame, A+. Miami looks decent. USC looks decent. UCLA looks decent. Georgia looks okay. LSU looks pretty good. Pretty good for Ohio State. Nebraska, A+. Ole Miss looks good. A&M, good, but maybe not quite at the level of some of those other teams. Go down. Do we have Texas looks decent. Stanford. Okay, I gotta remember to look at Stanford. I always forget to look at them. They've actually been pretty good over the last few years. That kind of looks like our A's. Let's look at championship contenders over the next few years. Florida, they're kind of the elite school right now. They've only won 1. They've made 2 of the last 3. And Notre Dame is good, but not quite at their level. And I think we might see the fall of Texas A&M a little bit here. They ended up losing Jimbo Fisher. He retired. And, they're still a top 10 team, but no longer projected up there with, now Oklahoma looks like they're kind of trying to go on a run. LSU looks good. Ohio State's climbing back up. Notre Dame's still around. Michigan, Miami, Army. Okay, let's look at some of these rosters. So Isaac Bruce is kind of Bama's big guy. I don't think they really have a QB, no. So Bama's kind of out of it at this point. Arkansas, actually, we'll look at them. They were a top 10 team, but they had that one year where they were really good with a bunch of studs, and they're still good, but I don't think they're winning anything. Yeah, especially they don't really have a QB, so I don't think they're winning anything this year. Florida, I mean, this team, it's been the best team for... They haven't totally got it done on the field, but as far as just who's been actually the best team over the last 7-8 years, it's probably Florida. Record-wise and stuff. They got Charlie Ward for the next 2 years. They got this Zach Thomas in behind him. They got Danny Cannell coming in as a freshman. Good stable of running backs. This Brian Turner, only a freshman, 80 overall, should be good. Harvey, Pitts, Terrell Owens. I forgot they got T.O. starting as a freshman for them in the slot. Sick tight end room. Offensive line, they got Jonathan Ogden. Yeah, really, good. Oh man, big time right guard, good right tackle, Wayne Gandy. D-line, yeah, I mean, Harris is going to be really good. They need some more, probably D-ends. They got Warren Sapp and Sam Adams. What a combo. Perfect nose tackle and Sam Adams, the perfect 3-tech with Warren Sapp. Left outside, they just went crazy at linebacker. Harvey, Ray Lewis, over just this past recruiting cycle. Not great at corner, and then safety, they're nasty. Brian Dawkins is sophomore, Rodney Harrison as a junior. So they're loaded. Georgia looks good. They got Wycheck, a decent QB, not one of the custom guys, but he's good over the next 2 years. So Georgia, they did win a natty so far. I mean, they're good, but definitely not elite right now. Keep going down here. LSU's got their 2 stud running backs with Hurst and Bettis. Big time middle linebacker. They got a good O-line too. Right tackle, left guard, left tackle, Baselli. So they should be able to run the ball really well. They got Zach Thomas in the middle. So they're building pretty good in LSU. They don't have a quarterback really coming up. Though this guy next year for a year. But yeah, that's one thing for them that's not really great. Miami, they looked like they were on the up for a while. And then now it looks like they kind of settled to more just like a top 15, 20 team. Michigan, good, but they got Kijana Carter, a nice junior quarterback, 6'6", 220. He's a big boy. Yeah, Michigan looks decent, but not, an elite team for sure. Kind of similar to Miami. Go to Nebraska. This team's going to be good. They're top 3. Bryant Young, Strahan, Trent Green. They got this Brown who will start once Trent Green leaves this year. Then they have nothing. They'll have to get something going. They got a good running back. They brought in Lawrence Phillips. Wide receivers, a couple of nice seniors, a couple of nice sophomores in behind them who can just take over. Tight end, decent junior.
O-line. I'm kind of cheering for Nebraska. I want to see a mid-90s run, but I think it might actually be Oklahoma who goes on this mid-90s run. Go to Notre Dame. They're very kind of top-heavy with two positions. Like, they got 299 QBs. I'm wondering who will start. Will it be Brad Johnson or Brunell? And then they got... Oh, they lost. Did Buddy leave early? Who did they have? They had Rick Meyer as well, who's younger than these guys. I don't think he could have even left for the draft. Maybe. Okay, so they lost him. 299 running backs, couple of seniors, and then a couple of sophomores behind them. Ohio State, kind of the same thing. They have a good QB. Or no, actually, I like what they're doing. They got Kerry Collins as a sophomore. They got Charlie Garner as a sophomore. Fast as hell, 96 speed. They got Joey Galloway as a sophomore. Their sophomore class is insane. 97 speed at wide receiver yard, 1,200 yards as a freshman. They brought in this Eric Moulds who brings some size to their offense. How are they looking at O-line? Left tackle, guards, center. Like, they have a good O-line right now. It's definitely a little bit older. They got to keep recruiting. Oklahoma. So this is defending national champs. It'll be interesting if they start Davis or Ridley. Then they got this Reed, who's only a sophomore, who's coming up as well. Good running backs, and they're both sophomores. This guy finished 91 as a sophomore. Wide receivers, they're young and not incredible. Tight end, pretty good. O-line, pretty good. I mean, not like elite, but good. Oh, I want to look at Stanford. I almost forgot. So they're going to have a crazy receiver room. So who's their QB though? They got this Oliver McCarthy is a sophomore. Okay. Cause they've been really just chucking the ball. They got a good running back, but look at their receivers. They got this Conway, but they got Marvin Harrison taking over as well. So, I mean, it's too bad. It would have been fun to see these two together, but they're going to have Marvin Harrison as their number one receiver over the next few years. So that'll be definitely interesting. Texas, good, but I wouldn't say quite great. And like, once again, they don't really have that QB. Stephen Thompson could be okay. A&M, I think they're still going to be really good this year, but they're in line for a step back. Honestly, like, QB's pretty good in the future. They got Marshall Falk, a sophomore, in behind him. Wideouts, this is where they're in trouble. Oh my God. They have a 90 senior. They can't recruit a receiver. I don't know what's going on there. Tight end, they're okay. They're really good at the O-line, but old. Junior, the other was a senior, junior. Not even old, but their two really good ones are both seniors. Then, yeah, they'll still be decent going forward, though, at O-line. Oh, D-line. D-ends, they're not great. They're really good at D-tackle for now, but both these guys are gone after this year and don't have a ton in behind them. Linebacker, they'll be good at linebacker over the next few years. Chad Brown, freshman coming in. Corner, yeah, they'll still be really good for the next few years at corner. Three safeties. They have a good junior strong, but yeah, they're good, but they're like, they still could win it this year, honestly. Their receiver situation is scary over the next few years. USC, they've been doing much better recruiting the last few years. Lorenzo Neal, Larry Allen, Willie McGinnis, Terrell Davis, this Stussy. They got Mike Allstott in behind Terrell Davis. Here's UW. They got Bruner. Did they get a QB? No, they don't really have a QB either. Okay, so that's kind of our rosters, guys. That's what we look like heading into the 93 season. So we're going to advance to week 9, and then we'll look at the schedules, look at where everything's looking. Okay, here we are in week 9. Let's look at some of the recruiting. So QB Jake Plummer looking, he's getting barely recruited. So we'll just kind of have to see with him. Danny Werfel, he's going to Mississippi State. So there we go. Running back. Work done. Looking like LSU, A&M, Louisiana Tech, Bama. That'd be big for LSU to go from Jerome Bettis and Garrison Hurst to him. That'd be huge. Tiki Barber going to Notre Dame. That is a big pickup for the Irish. And Corey Dillon looking, locked in at UW. That's a big pickup for UW, his real life alma mater. When we go to wide receiver, Derek Mason looking like Notre Dame, maybe Michigan or Michigan State. Ike Hilliard looking like Florida, Notre Dame, Miami. Tight end with Tony Gonzalez looking like Notre Dame or the U. Notre Dame is trying to put together a class, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, tackles. Orlando Place looking at Oklahoma. That'd be cool if he went to Oklahoma.
Walter Jones goes to Florida. They got Jonathan Ogden and Walter Jones as their 2 tackles. Those are debatably both top 5 offensive linemen of all time. The least offensive tackles. That's crazy. Tariq Glenn, he is going to LSU, locked in. It's a big pickup for LSU. LSU's kind of picking it up. Defensive ends, Vrabel looking like his alma mater, Ohio State, Florida, Western Kentucky, Purdue. Peter Bulwer locked in at Notre Dame. And Jason Taylor locked in at Penn State. That's a big pickup for Penn State. We only have a middle. Oh, no, we do have 2 D tackles. We got Russell, who's looking at Ohio State, Alabama, Nebraska. Trevor Price looking at Syracuse, Vanderbilt, BC. Okay, we got James Ferrier looking like Oklahoma, USC, Ohio State, maybe Florida. Cornerback, big cornerback room. So Rondé's looking like Georgia, Vandy, Bama, and his brother went to Notre Dame. Sean Springs going to Notre Dame. Sam Madison, Oklahoma, Auburn, Alabama. Westbrook looking like Duke, Vandy, Tennessee. And Al Harris looking like Cal. Mostly, yeah, going to Cal, looks like. Not locked in, but. Then last but not least, we got Darren Sharper. Basically, he's going to Tennessee. Duke's like 7,000 points behind. So Notre Dame really stood out there to me. With getting our guys. You never know with how the rest of the recruiting's going, but yeah, they're first right now. Penn State, Nebraska, LSU, Florida, Washington, Western Michigan. So obviously early, but yeah, that's where we're sitting right now. Okay, let's look at the top 25 here. A lot of unbeaten still. Notre Dame, unbeaten. Play Miami later. UCLA, unbeaten. They play ASU, Washington, and USC. Their last 3 of their last 4 games. So that's tough. Ohio State, Penn State, Illinois, Michigan, UW undefeated right now, and they play. Yeah, they're not finishing undefeated with that schedule. Oklahoma, defending national champs. West Virginia, TCU. Florida has a loss. UCF, West Virginia, Georgia, Miami, Army, Nebraska. There's a lot of 1 no-loss teams. Not a lot playing each other though, other than kind of those pack schools that don't have a lot of our guys. Who does Florida still have? They got Georgia, South Carolina, and then Navy, FSU. I think we'll probably just sim to the conference championship. None of those really jumped out as me as crazy games we had to check out. So Mark Brunell is starting over Brad Johnson, and he's leading the Heisman chase. Charlie Ward in second. So there we go. A couple of big time QBs leading the way there. Look at some of the stats. So Brunell leading the country in passing. Charlie Ward in second. Rushing, there's receiving Morton at Hawaii, Stevens at Notre Dame, tackle leaders, sack leaders, INT leaders. Let's get some team stats here, just kind of see. So total offense, Notre Dame, Florida in the lead. Notre Dame, 48 points per game. Syracuse, UCLA. Defensively, Army by 600 yards. They've only played 5 games, though. Some teams have played 6, but that's 5 games. They're averaging 200 yards a game. Yeah, I don't know who they're freaking playing. Who's on your schedule? Yeah, nothing. Literally nothing. I might have to put them in a conference. UCF, Nebraska, Ohio State. So that is where we are sitting with that. I think I'm just going to advance to conference championship weekend. So, conference championship weekend, we got UCLA undefeated. They just have to beat Cal and they would be in. I don't even know if we looked at their roster. Then we got Notre Dame and Miami playing. We got Nebraska and Ohio State. Okay, we're just going to sim through the rest of this week now, and then we'll see who makes it. I think, yeah, winner of Miami, Notre Dame versus, I'd like to see Nebraska. I'm down for Nebraska. Mark Brunell. 58 total touchdowns, wins the Heisman. Okay, let's see who's in the big dance. UCF Miami. UCF made it. So Miami beat Notre Dame. This Miami team I did not think was great on paper either. They're a 91 overall, 2-loss team. Nebraska, they picked UCF over Nebraska. That's kind of disappointing. Oklahoma too, 1 loss. They don't have a conference championship game in the Big Ten though, which kind of hurts them. I wonder if I should maybe move some of those Big Ten teams to other conferences, the big time schools, so they could have a better chance. Because not having that championship game, if they played Nebraska in that game and won with 1 loss, they're gonna jump UCF probably. But
Yeah, 2-point win for Miami over Notre Dame. So we're either going to have a Miami's made one though, right? Maybe not. I guess not. So this is their first appearance. Obviously UCF's first appearance. Miami trying to win the Natty. The only cool thing here is if Miami wins, this could help them kind of get back into the race as far as, you know, like Florida's been killing it for recruiting in the state. Miami win a Natty. They got Jimmy Johnson. That could really kind of boost them, and they could start getting some big time recruits. So I'm gonna cheer for them. I don't really care, but I think Miami's gonna win. UCF has a great defense. They're playing in the American Conference. Probably not the toughest competition, but we'll see. Have we really had any big upsets? UCLA, but they played Maryland. Yeah, not really. Like, here's our national championships. Oklahoma, like, winners. Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Ohio State, A&M, Georgia, Penn State, A&M, Notre Dame, UCLA, Florida, A&M, Oklahoma. So we have not really, this is like, Miami's not a small school. So if Miami wins, but if UCF wins, this is by far the smallest program. UCLA is probably the second, and they were just the number one team. We're going to make this game. So, okay, let's go through the first quarter. I'm really not going to watch any of this unless it's close in the fourth. 7-7, 14-7, 21-7 Miami. So they're up pretty big. Well, not pretty. Yeah, 21-14. Hey, it's a game. Nope, 28-14, 28-21. Okay, Miami's driving here. Oh, and they score a 35-yard touchdown. So UCF, they go for it. Okay, we got 3rd and 4 here for UCF. They are down 2 scores, but they are still in this one. Like, UCF has a chance to win a national championship. Florida or Miami bringing a blitz, fires it over the middle. Nice pick. Oh, they fumbled. And Miami picks it up. There might be a challenge there. If he actually, oh, they're showing it. Beats Gabe Davis's record, but he fumbled in the national championship, guys. Wow. Okay, yeah, so that's gonna do it. Miami kicks a field goal. They're up 3 scores. We're just gonna go into the game here. Yeah, so UCF was a little overmatched, but Miami, we're not even gonna see a celebration or anything. So 1993 Miami versus UCF. There it is, national champions. So that's huge for the U. Jimmy Johnson gets a ring. Earl Young, Brown. Again, they just don't have any of the big time guys. UCF, oh, this Bell guy killed it. He did have that late fumble. They were pretty much out of it already anyway. QB played really good for them. He's a sophomore. They could be kind of around here going forward. So there it is, guys. Miami wins their national championship, and that is going to wrap up this video as far as, you know, games and seasons. Still have some stuff we're going to do here, so the video is not over in that sense, but we are now through 1993, guys. We are through 14 seasons of this sim. Okay, gonna end of bowl season. We'll look at some of the stats. We're gonna look at our coaches, all that good stuff. You guys got to help me leave in the comments too who you guys are liking for the player of the decade in the 90s. I don't think we had some standout players in the 80s. I don't think we've had anybody who I'm like, oh, this guy's in the running right now. I might be kind of overlooking someone. So if someone stood out to you guys, let me know down in the comments. So Miami, Nebraska, Notre Dame. Where was Florida and A&M? Oh my God. I mean, Florida only lost 3 games, but A&M nowhere to be seen. So A&M is starting to really take a tumble here. Heisman, Brunell wins it. Doughty, what did Doughty do for Nebraska? 2,190 rushing yards. All-Americans, Brunell, receivers, Kennedy, Bryant Young for Nebraska. Hardy is a true freshman. Wow. Wins the Butkus as a true freshman. Okay, we'll have to keep our eyes on him. Bernard Wise, okay. Second team, Kerry Collins. Nice year. Keep going down. Jerome Bettis, big time kick returner apparently. Okay, freshman All-Americans. Lawrence Phillips had a nice, only 385 yards, so nothing crazy. Amani Toomer, 1,000 yards for USC. Okay, and they had a freshman All-American. Oh my God, he's a 61 overall and he had 700 yards receiving. My goodness. Nebraska, a couple of freshmen on the O-line. Getting into defense, Hardy, Teddy Bruschi at UW. And that is kind of where we are sitting for All-Americans. For Brunell, Heath Schuler, Doughty, Morton. There we go. Galloway. and interceptions. Look at team stats quickly. Total offense, 7,300. Ohio State, Nebraska. Points per game, Notre Dame, 46 points per game is a huge number. There's defensive points allowed. Nebraska led the country. Okay, now I want to look at some of our big time guys. So Drew, what was his final year like? Okay, yeah, he was honestly not that great. I mean, I guess they just didn't. He had 3 picks and like 75 touchdowns his last 2 years, so that's pretty good. Trent Green had a really nice career as far as what they asked him to do there, like not turn the ball over, you know, really just run the offense. Brad Johnson didn't start his last year. Mark Brunell, he had a great year this year. If he wins another Heisman, he's got to be on our watch list. If he wins the Heisman next year, or even just wins a national championship and has a big time year like around the same season, he probably is leading the way for player of the decade so far. Charlie Ward had like a decent year this year. Did he run? He hasn't really ran much. That's kind of where we are with running back. Okay, quarterbacks. Jerome Bettis, 1,100 yards. Garrison Hurst had 1,000. So they had 2,000-yard rushers this year. Robert Smith at Notre Dame, pretty good career. Marshall Falk, what'd you do this year? 981. He hasn't rushed for 1,000 yards yet. I don't know if they're just not giving him the ball. What's going on? Charlie Garner, 1,200 yards as a sophomore, plus 290. So Garner looks like a stud for Ohio State. Wide receiver, Quandre Ishmael. We never really looked. He had like a good career, not crazy. Conway, really nice career for Conway, 4,700 career yards. Isaac Bruce hasn't been great at Bama. Johnny Morton, really good year, 1,645 at Hawaii. The one I wanted, what did Galloway do this year? Ooh, huge step back. I think Ohio State might have changed their offensive coordinator. Frank Wycheck, he's gone. Good career, but didn't put up crazy stats. Irv Smith, pretty good career at Auburn. Defensive ends, Strahan, 17 sacks, done at Nebraska. Willie McGinnis, 15 sacks in 3 years. His last 2 years, he's been really good, actually. Probably be the best defensive lineman in the country. Nick Collins, good year, good career. Bryant Young, still back next year. He's at 11.5 sacks. Sam Adams, big nose tackle in the middle of the Florida defense. Warren Sapp, only a sophomore this year. Left outside, nothing crazy. Middle, Armstead, Gideon. Right outside, Chad Brown in his senior year. He had a good all-around, career. 8.5 total sacks, 3 picks, 25 pass deflections. He's like a just good all-around linebacker. Corners, Aaron Glenn, only a junior, so he'll be back next year. Ty Law, only a sophomore, has 6 picks in 2 years. It's good. Safeties, Dwayne Washington has been pretty good for UCLA. Brian Dawkins, how'd he do this year? He's got 5 picks in 2 years. Pass deflections, a forced fumble, been pretty good. Strong safety, we got John Lynch, done it. Illinois, pretty good career. Rodney Harrison, pretty good. So that is kind of it, guys. National Signing Day for our last year of this episode. Then we're going to look at just the coaches, we'll do a deep dive a little bit in the coaches too, just see who has the best record so far through the 14 years, all that kind of good stuff. Okay, so National Signing Day. Plummer ends up at Florida. They are killing it with quarterbacks, man. Then Werfel, and we knew ends up at Mississippi State. Work done at LSU, that's big. We knew Tiki, and then we knew Corey out UW. Receivers, Derek Mason ends up at Michigan State. Ike Hilliard ends up at Florida, so they'll have him. Oh, Tony Gonzalez ends up at the U. That's a huge pickup, defending national champions. Okay, is that Eastern Michigan Orlando Pace goes to? Florida gets Walter Jones. That's crazy. Treat Glenn. Defensive ends, Vrabel ends up at Florida. Bulware ends up at Notre Dame, right? Yeah, and then Jason Taylor ends up at Penn State. D tackle, Russell ends up at Ohio State. Price ends up at Syracuse. Middle linebacker, Vrabel ends up at Ohio State. Rondé Barber, Georgia. Sean Springs, Sam Madison, Florida, Westbrook, Duke, Al Harris, Cal, and then lastly, Darren Sharper ends up at Tennessee. Okay, number one are all our recruiting classes here. So Florida gets the number one class, Texas, LSU, Notre Dame, Nebraska, Penn State, Tennessee, Ohio State, Boston College, Syracuse. So that's it for that recruiting class. Now we are going to look at our coaches and just see, who gets fired. If anyone gets hired, we'll do a bit deep dive through 14 years. Who's been the best coach? Obviously, we're going to do a separate coach of the decade for this decade, all that good stuff. Okay, so Alvarez, now the head coach at Boise State. Okay. Bobby Bowden, head coach. He was at UAB before. Mac Brown, OC at Syracuse. Pete Carroll, still the DC at Washington. Jim Harbaugh at Arkansas, OC. Woody Hayes, safe. Lou Holtz, safe. Don James, safe for now at BYU. Jimmy, safe. Chip, safe for now at OC. Urban, safe. Robert Nealon becomes the head coach at Cincinnati. Okay, we'll see what he can do there. Ed Orgeron, OC at Oklahoma. Tom Osborne, safe at... Joe Pa got fired and becomes the OC at Florida under Urban. My goodness. Gary Patterson. Nick Saban, the head coach at Louisiana. Bo Schembechler, head coach at North Texas. Schnellenberger, safe at Louisville. Kirby, safe. Steve Spurrier. Dabo, OC. Barry Switzer, safe at Oklahoma. DC. Okay, so that's where we sit. Interesting. Okay, let's kind of look at the records here. So career record, who's got the best? So through 14 years, Lou Holtz 157 and 29, Woody Hayes 153, Jimmy Johnson 141. So honestly, not that far behind them. Urban 153. So basically the same record at Woody Hayes. Lou Holtz does, I think, is going to end up with the best record. There's Tom. There's Joe Pa, who got fired. Howard, Kirby 145, not too far away. Same with Barry. Okay, so that's kind of where we're sitting with that. What about conference championships? So Woody's got 5, Lou has 3, but Lou wasn't in a conference for a while for the first 6 years with Sim, 5 years. Urban has 6. Does Urban have the... Barry Switzer has 7, but they don't have a conference championship game, which is just a little bit different. So 2 national championships for Barry, 1 for Joe Pa, 1 for Kirby, 1 for Urban. Sorry, we already looked at him. 1 for Jimmy now. 2 for Lou, 1 for Woody Hayes. That's where we're sitting for nationals. Let's look at the recruiting. So top classes. So Lou Holtz has 13 top 25 classes, average of 6. Woody average of 13. I don't know if I buy the average all the time, but it is what it is. I don't think there's any way Urban's average recruiting class is 11. I don't know. How many? Does anyone have multiple coach of the year? Joe Pa has 2, but he just got freaking fired. Who's got the most Heismans? Lou Holtz has 4 Heisman Trophy winners at Notre Dame. There's no way anybody has anything close to that. The other one, I want to look at All-Americans. Who has the most? 16 for Whittingham. Only 15 at Oklahoma. Dabo 13. Kirby is 26. That's a high number right now. 56 for Urban Meyer. That's a huge jump. 31 for Jimmy. 60 for Lou. 55. So yeah, when you look through it all, I think it's pretty obvious. The 3 best programs just overall have been, Lou Holtz, Notre Dame, Woody Hayes at Ohio State, then Urban Meyer at Florida. When you kind of take it all into account, those have been the 3 best. So that is where we're going to wrap up this episode number 2, guys. If you guys enjoy this, there's still 4 more of these episodes coming up. We're only 14 of 42 or 41 seasons into this sim. We're going to be tracking the coaches, recruiting classes through the whole entire thing. So if you guys have enjoyed this, make sure you guys sub, leave a like on the video, but definitely sub just because I don't want you guys to miss the next 4 of these parts if you really enjoyed this. And going forward, there's going to be a video out every week. So if you guys want
want to watch the next part, the part 3 of this series, which will be starting in the 1994 season, and it is out already, I will put it right here and you can just click right here and just continue rocking.